Sorry for starting the stream so late. I kind of thought my dad was making dinner, but I think he was barbecuing. I didn't realize, so I was gonna stream earlier, and I was like, "Well, dinner will start soon." And it was barbecue, so it took a bit. Um, but I'll try to make it up by. Sorry for starting the stream. Also, one thing is my headphones. They're kind of old, to be honest, and they've kind of been kind of finicky with your audio lately. So the audio sometimes sounds dimmer to me than it does probably on your guys' end. I had to turn my audio like way fucking up. So if the audio is too loud or too quiet, you're probably just gonna have to let me know, and if I see it, I see it because my headphones are not like 1-to-1 at the moment. Um, and this will probably be a short stream. I might talk about Mega Evolutions if I feel like it. Pokemon Mega Evolutions. I have a lot of interesting stuff to say. I have some stuff I want to say about Mega Evolutions and how people react to them. Or how people think Mega Evolution design philosophy works, but maybe that'll be a different video. But for now, we're just gonna try to get into it. We'll just try to we're going back and we're gonna keep looking over the art of the Edge of Eternities. I'm probably gonna focus a little like last time. I focused a little less on just like picking apart the art and more like just general flavor. So some of the art also, but like the flavor text and stuff. So it seems like everything's working well because I can hear myself from my YouTube. So we'll just get right into it. Annul, instant, counter target artifact or enchantment spell. Annul is like a classic spell. Your ship and crew have been contaminated by the Great Destroyers. We cannot risk their spread. Prepare for unraveling. Oh my god. So this seems like a Drix here because we can recognize by the clothing and also like by the head shape a little bit. Like if we look at for example, this Drix up here. Also, I'm still working on talking slower. I just have ADHD, so sometimes I start speeding up unless I actively think about it. Sometimes it becomes like literally painful for me to talk slower. So still working on that. All right, so that says the audio is working good for now. Internet connection's also good. Last time I started getting finicky near the end, which is part of the reason I ended like with one color last time instead of two. But I still think I'm just gonna do one color at a time. Um, Counter target artifact or enchantment spell. Your ship and crew have been contaminated by the Great Destroyers. We cannot risk their spread. Prepare for unraveling. So, a pretty interesting bit of flavor here because we see that the monoliths don't seem to worship the Eldrazi, but they were using the Eldrazi to get the Palatinate. And like when we were reading the Magic the Gathering story, the Edge of Eternity's short stories, it seemed like they were able to had the means to bait them into the station to attack them. So so the fact that this is a mono ship specifically that they've declared as like being tainted by the Eldrazi or the Great Destroyers, I assume that that's the Eldrazi. Is it pretty interesting? And it seems like also like they're being kind of like wept walked or like they're opening like a wept portal to like cast this thing into like either the Chaos Wall or some other like similar dimension, Quiet Wall, whatever, what have you. So obviously they want to let you know this card is blue. So it's just they put fucking blue everywhere. Like this, like almost is very interesting. It's almost like this entire piece of art is almost like entirely blue with some purple, and like the biggest exception here is this like here because this mono shape is very obviously not any sort of shade of blue. It's like purple and black and silver, so it really helps really stand out something that's like not supposed to be here almost. Like you could see this almost as like there's also very interesting effect, but you can see this almost like this is like a world and this is being disrupted by this mono ship, which we know is corrupted, and then this person is then getting rid of this disruption to bring it back to like a more like uniform, quote unquote peaceful landscape. Um, Obviously it's not all the same shade of blue. You got like a little bit of blue green here, just for like a little bit of so you can actually see what's happening. Um, and the Drix looks kind of greenish blue to me, but it's kind of hard to tell by how far we are. And obviously the Drix still stands out by virtue of like having like the brown staffs, like silver, but maybe not quite as much as like the purple mono ship and the tears being made behind it by this Drix. And we know that like in the lore, the Drix basically seem to deal with old like really old stuff, but they seem to be especially concerned with the Eldrazi. There's like a lot of seeds being planted for the Eldrazi on the Edge of Eternity on in Edge of Eternities. For example, I think in one side story they offhand mentioned Eldrazi cultist. So it seems like there's people that worship the Eldrazi. They actually named up like a lot of different religions, but the Eldrazi cultists are kind of interesting to me. And it seems like people can be corrupted. Eldrazi have always been able to corrupt things. If you've seen the Eldrazi like on Zendikar and stuff, like the whole point is like the idea is that Titans can turn like corrupt the world and people around them to serve their own ends or what have you. Like The obvious example would probably be like the Angels of Innistrad. The is it was it Yeah, Brasilla. It was Gisela and what's it? Yeah, it's Bruna and so Bruna and Gisela were like corrupted, and so you end up with stuff like this. So clearly, the Eldrazi stuff are some corrupting influence. Um, but I don't know if the idea is that there's a Titan on this plane because we don't know for sure if there's any other Titans. As far as we know, we only know of the three. Um, I'm personally just gonna like I'm assuming unless they state there's another Titan, I'm just assuming there's just the three. But who's to say? It's a big multiverse. Could be countless Titans. Could be just the three. Anything's possible. So anyway, this are also interesting in the way it curves, but also kind of curves like around like the ship, almost like this because like power is like so great that they kind of make the world almost like bend around them. Like if you were to follow the swirl, it would like swirl around the ship and like the tear in reality. Um, and also there's a bunch of stuff raining down. Like I don't really know what to talk about this planet or moon or whatever. And who's to say that all the planets and moons that we see depicted on cards are necessarily like the main planets we see in the set? Because they do mention moons that aren't mentioned in the Planeswalkers guide that we know exist in system, and I think even in the system they mention other planets within the system. So, and that's not even get to like stuff on other planets, but I mean in other solar systems. I mean, anyway, Null's a pretty simple card. I mean, so the idea is like they're basically stopping this influence. They stop the corruption of Eldrazi from before it can spread. So the idea is that you're countering it, you're taking preventative measures. Um, I guess the idea here is that it's countering artifacts or enchantments because countering the ship. And I guess enchantments usually represent like magic, like long term magic. So I guess the idea is like it's either you're whatever countering is either like could be a ship or like maybe some sort of like curse or like corruption that would probably be represented by an enchantment. Like I'm gonna see if we maybe Tazi type enchant. Because I swear we have like I mean we have a couple. We have like choking restraints, which is clearly the Eldrazi growing. Um, Echoes of Eternity, even Fevered Vision. Like sometimes the influence of Eldrazi is represented by like enchantments, which is just generally like enchantments, or just usually represent like longer term magic. Um, Man, the art on that one's great though. So here we have Atomic Microsizer. Also, I'm still curious about like how omen paths work in relation to the edge. Like, if you enter an omen path, would you if you like entered an omen path, was there a chance the omen path just opens into like empty space, or would it always be like a planet side? I don't know. Because it kind of seems like the downside of the omen path is sometimes you don't know where they're gonna go, which is the reason why not everyone would just be jumping into every omen path they see. And why it's so important that, for example, Avishkar slash Kaladesh and Ravnica seem very hell bent on trying to figure out like a map of the omen paths because not all of them are safe. And there's a pretty good chance that if you just run into a random omen path, you'll end up like, for example, on Duskmoor, or it's just literally like like not every plane has like life on it. Like for example, we know that I don't know what the Wild West one is. Thunder Junction. We know that Thunder Junction before the Omen Paths were there, it was just like an empty plane, and then people came, and then the plants started coming to life when people came. So like, there's a chance that you just walk into like an empty barren plane, and you don't get a Thunder Junction. Like, there's nobody else there, nobody else comes. You're just alone with no food or water or anything. So anyway, Atomic Microsizer, 1 blue, artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets. What is that? What? Oh, that's a Kavu, I think. Equipped creature gets +1/+0. Whenever equipped creature attacks, choose up to one target creature. That creature can't be blocked by this turn. It has base power and toughness 1/1 until the end of turn. When packing for a stealth mission, it's important to fold your dimensions tightly. So this is a very funny flavor. It's very cute. So basically, the idea is that you shrink it, and so because it can basically move past the opponent and hit an attack or just defend, or I mean, it can do whatever it needs to do. But it's so small that they can't really stop it. So it's a very like cute take on like blue like unblockable stuff where it's like it makes you small so you can't interact with it. Once again, you can tell it's a blue card because they put blue fucking everywhere. Like there's a bit like this is purple a bit, but obviously the main focus is like this bright blue glove, and like the purple kind of transitions nicely to this like glowing blue, and even the glove is like not it's like there's like black shading here, but it's like clearly not completely black. It's like kind of like just really dark blue and being lit up by like all these lights and lightning. Do we wait? Is that confirmed, or are we assuming? Because like Well, I guess because I guess that would explain why Tezzeret, for example, can't go back. So it's not that I like can't believe that's true. It's like it's totally possible. But I guess my question is like, are we assuming that based on like, for example, Tezzeret can't go back, or like I wouldn't be surprised. It's like that makes sense. It's just I don't know. I'm just thinking about it. I mean, that would explain a lot. It would explain why Tezzeret couldn't go back, for example, because that should be like easy planeswalk back. He still has a spark. No reason he can't. And that may explain what like whatever Jace like where Jace got thrust to. But so here we have the so we have a lot of blue and purple and cool colors here, and in contrast to that, the Cobb is like clearly more warm. Part of this is just because the Cobb are just like red, and the red alliance they usually get like a red. They've been doing a lot of orange the Cobb too, but like red they use a lot of red, orange, yellow, maybe sometimes like a little bit of neon green. So the Cobb has like a nice contrast to like the glove, where they want to show you what the equipment is actually doing. So they show by having this nice Cav who's like much more warmer, like a warmer tone than like the blue, the cool blue of the gloves. And you can even see like a path from where the Cav is coming and shrinking down into. Like they jumped into this person's palm. Um, so I mean, that's all I really got. But this is like really nice, like surprisingly detailed for like such a like for how small it is. But at the same time, I guess it's like the main focus, and we are zoomed into the hand. It was like this interesting like wave effect on the hand here. But and even here you can see that kind of like sometimes when you see stuff when stuff moves so fast it kind of blurs, and sometimes you see this represented in art, obviously, with like how like having after images and stuff, like it's moving so fast. Although in this case, I guess the idea is less that how fast the cap is moving, more the idea that you can also see it shrinking as it moves through the air. Um, and obviously, like they remember bring focus to the glove because the glove is massive. It's like compared to the calf. Like the calf is still like it's surprisingly detailed, but like you still can't like make out his faces like as much as I would think as if they were trying to make like a legendary creature or something. Like if they wanted to know, want you to know who this person is. Like it's clearly like more the action that's important here, but that's just how I'm reading it. Cerebral download. So here we have one of the Ilvoy. If you don't know the Ilvoy, that is a freaky. I'm not sure they always have one of those things at the end. I don't remember them having that in the Planeswalkers guide. I'll tell you what. Because I guess maybe this could open up and reveal like a weird mouth thing, but I don't. It's kind of freaky looking. I don't remember that. I'm not sure all Ilvoy had that. But here we have the Ilvoy, which are like jellyfish alien people, and cerebral download. 4 generic, 1 blue. Instant. Surveil X, where X is the number of artifacts you control. Then draw 3 cards. Surveil X, look at the top. You should know how Surveil works. It's like Scry, except you mill instead. All Uthros networks are routed through an ancient relic called a memory vessel, which converts data into thought. So that's very interesting flavor. I'm not sure that was mentioned in the Planeswalkers guide, but that's like seems like kind of a huge deal. But anyway, here we see a blue card, and they want once again they want to let you know it's blue because they use a lot of blue and mostly cool colors. Like they have like this vibrant blue lightning, and blue and red both have a connection to lightning. Red it usually gets a connection to lightning because like metaphorically represents the idea of like a sudden emotion or like spontaneity or excitement. In the case of blue, it's more like the idea of like, well, first of all, artifice because a lot of technology runs using electricity, but also like the idea of like the sky and air. And the reason for that is because in like classical like Greek thought, for example, and alchemy, and especially mostly Western, we're talking here, um, the sky and like the like air as an element and water are usually like higher elements. So like, and by higher elements, I mean like they're more associated with like thought and like reason and like the spirit, while like fire and earth are more like emotion and the body, and that kind of manifests as lightning because obviously water clouds are water, so it's like water and air mixing to create lightning, which is like the idea that it's like the idea is some with blue like some an extension of like the air and the sky. Obviously, a lot of bright blue lightning, which grabs your attention, and then we have like these blue like strands or whatever. It looks like kind of like the cloud sculpting. Like you can tell, like this is like opening up. The Elvoy use like cloud sculpting, and we have a little Elvoy robot, which looks very excited. So if you don't know what the point of these robots are, the robots in lore for the Elvoy is so that it's to help them show their emotion because they don't show their emotion conventionally, like humans or I guess most of the species would in this case. Like if you're human, for example, you frown. Elvoy don't really do that to express emotions. Like you're just on a different wavelength, so they compensate for that by using these little robots. So basically, this robot's telling you that he's really happy about whatever's happening, even though they're like, it's kind of hard to read their face. Like they might even look disgruntled. Like this robot's trying to let you know that they're really happy. Again, freaky arms here. Most of the way I don't really see them. I don't like. I guess I haven't really seen them. Hold on. Will it take me to Edge? I don't. Might hold on. Well, I think they updated it. Like, for example, this guy has like a hand. So like if you zoom into this guy, that's like a hand. Like there's not like a mouth in there. It feels like. I mean, maybe, but like these are clearly like more like hands. And even here, it's like either hands or tentacles. So like this person have like these weird like mouth things is really freaky to me, even for like an Ilvoy. Like understands weird alien shit, but an interesting little background we got here. We have like where this is like clearly like more blue. Like these are kind of like more like a gray. Like there's still like a bit of color here, but they feel like definitely more grays because they want you to pay attention to here. And there's like this bright like star which is like illuminating this Ilvoy, so like to highlight them, to highlight their frame. And it's kind of like interesting. The gas is also done interesting here, but the gas is almost looks like it's whirling around, like the picture. Like if you follow it, kind of like curves like this, which almost gives the impression that it could be like whirling around, like what's happening. And it's very interesting that this is like set, like it could be set in space. It's probably like on a ship or something, because I don't think Ilvoy can, or at least hasn't been confirmed that they can be in space. Maybe they can, but it didn't seem like they can. And the Ilvoy, so the reason that the Ilvoy are like jellyfish, creature type wise. And the reason for that is just because blue has a strong association, like as I said earlier, with water, so it gets a lot of sea creatures. And it's less because each sea creature necessarily has like a blue philosophy. I think sometimes people read it a little too literally. They're just like, "How's a fish blue?" And it's more like a metaphorical representation, or a representation of like what the colors would use. Like I don't think rats are usually black aligned, or would have a black philosophy as such. But black is just a color that would more likely that leans to a common phobia of rats, or like use rats to spread disease and stuff. It's less that the rats themselves would always be black, and more that like that's something that black would be more likely to embrace, and it's a metaphorical like representation of black philosophy. And here we kind of get that with jellyfish, although in this case the Ilvoy are like human level sentient, so I assume they also have a blue philosophy, generally speaking. But so, and the memory vessel is very interesting, because I'm not sure if that's mentioned in the Planeswalkers guide. But the memory vessel does seem like a very blue thing to do. It's like the idea of, it's like the idea of like information and knowledge, and the idea that you can like upload it and store it, and then use it to make better decisions and stuff. And I assuming it's Elvoy's not loaded in space. I'm assuming it's like they could be standing in front of a window for all we know. Who knows? But Cloud Sculpt Technician. So if you don't know, the Ilvoy have this technique called Cloud Sculpting, which basically allows them to turn like clouds from like, for example, on Earthros, which is a gas giant, into like solid materials and constructs for their ships and stuff, which gives them their very distinct and iconic look. Like if you look at an Ilvoy ship, hold on. Off of the storm. There was a really good example. I can't for the. I mean, if you look at this ship, for example, like if you look at the ship, almost looks like filigree, almost like it's like very fancy, and like almost like, I wouldn't say wiry, but it's almost like branches in a way, but not quite like organic. Like this is how they get that effect. It's because of the cloud sculpting to give clouds a solid form. Cloud Sculpt Technician. So this some of the Ilvoy look differently. It's kind of hard to say how much of it is intentional, and how much of it is like. So how Magic the Gathering like works is that obviously it's I don't think people appreciate like how big of an undertaking like making a Magic set is, and it's kind of a miracle that anything works as well as it does like at all. So sometimes what ends up happening though is like there's just kind of discrepancies, because sometimes the description for the art doesn't come through till later and stuff. So sometimes they don't get like a full like complete vision of what stuff is supposed to look like until later. Although this still reads like an Ilvoy, obviously, but it's hard to tell. Sometimes it's hard to tell, like, is this like an accident? Like, did the artist not get like the full memo of what the Ilvoy is supposed to look like, or is it just like they were given some liberties about what form to take? I assume it could also be both. You could also see it as like there's flexibility, and also the artist is, maybe they didn't get like maybe they didn't get like the message that like here's how all Ilvoy is supposed to look like. Although I do want to give the artist credit. Like this is, I'm not saying they're incompetent. I'm just saying this stuff kind of happens. It's just like it's just how the process works. It's just like never gonna be perfect. You gotta iron it out sometimes. Um, and I think sometimes people, especially when it comes to like aliens or sci-fi creatures, like they get in their head that like basically they all have to look exactly the same, and if they don't, it's like a weird contradiction. Like this is gonna be like a weird example, but like for example, I was really into Ben 10. I still like Ben 10, but I haven't watched it forever. But I was really into Ben 10, and one like I think there was like this blue like four like Detraman, which is like the species Four Arms is, and everyone's like, oh, he must be blue because he's a mutant, and it's like, well, it's okay to just have aliens that are just different colors and stuff because like it's just how it is. I mean, look at humans. Humans aren't all the exact same skin tone. Like sometimes you can just have like different. Humans have different body types. Maybe this is like that for the Ilvoid. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. Creature, jellyfish, artificer. So artificer makes sense. Jellyfish because Ilvoid. Artificer because it fucks with technology. Flying. As long as you control an artifact, this creature gets +1/+0. A Cloudsculptor at work is like a carefully balanced weather system and just as dangerous to interfere with. So I'm not gonna talk about clouds and water and air in relation to blue every time I see them because I've been bringing it up a lot because we see it on so many Ilvoid cards. Um, I was asking earlier if Ilvoid breathes in space, but this one's clearly got some sort of breathing apparatus on. It looks like they cloud sculpt some sort of like their body looks like uncovered, but I think it looks like they cloud sculpt some sort of like helmet around themselves. And hold on, remember, in the Planeswalker guide, it says that humans have the least variety of any species because of the inbreeding acts in their past. Oh yeah, that's also true. I forgot about that. Yeah, so we're gonna go on a limb there and say it's intentional, or at least they purposely give the artist freedom to do what they want in certain respects. But like, right? Uh, I do remember them saying that. I just can't find it for the life of me. I do remember them saying that. So I do. Just to be clear, I do remember them basically saying that they're saying that humans, are less diverse. Basically, maybe it was in one of the stories. I don't remember. I have to find it. It might have been. Yeah, we're just reading some cards. I do remember them saying that. Although I wonder if it was in one of the stories and not the. I might just be. I just don't have time to look through. I just don't have time to keep looking back through everything in the Planeswalkers guide and rereading the entire thing. So obviously it's a blue card. They want to, it's blue. So they make everything fucking blue, right? They have like blue glow, blue laser. Even the background space is kind of like just mostly dark blue. They have a bit of like green and purple. And this they made this person stand out with contrast. Like they have like this kind of like red and purple contrast, so you can see them better. But everything else is like very blue. Um, I mean the flavor is pretty simple. It flies because it's in the middle of space, I guess. I don't. Can Ilvite fly by default? I think they usually use hover chairs and stuff, but I think we see a couple of them like just flying around, right? Um, or at least they can cloud sculpt themselves around sometimes. Like this one, I guess is not flying, so I guess they're usually like using magic, like they're either cloud sculpting when they're flying or they're using some sort of device. Um, but here we have like even the clouds. I feel like the clouds are kind of like they are mostly like gray, white, like here, but I feel like as you get closer here, they're kind of like darker blue a bit. So even the clouds are like have a little bit of blue tint to them. It's very interesting seeing like the cloud sculpting at work because these look like raw clouds, and then you get here it's like a solid object. So it's just a very interesting visual, and it's an artificer because it cares about artifacts, and it gets +1/+0 because it wants you to care. It's just magic telling you, hey, this is an artificer. You want to play artifacts. It cares about artifacts. Not the strongest flavor. You'd think that maybe like I don't know, like theoretically you'd probably like with Cloud Sculpt Technician, it'd like tap or untap an artifact, but like it's for balancing reasons. Like you can't have every card like be a slam dunk in flavor if it means like breaking the game or making things awkward because you gotta have your simple creatures that people can just play and have fun with. You have Code Cracker Hound. So this Code Cracker Hound is a very funny card because it has a warp, and I think it's just because it's on a ship, but it like cinches its own eyebrows off. I don't I don't know what's going on there. Oh, it also has like 16 legs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think at least 14. Assuming it has a double two of each leg. Code Cracker Hound. 2 generic, 1 blue. Creature dog. Actually, I'm not sure we get a lot of dogs in blue. It was like a really weird point, but I don't know how many dogs we usually get in blue. We usually get them in uh like Bant colors, I think, like green, white, red. Like we usually we get a couple black dogs. Well, here's one Chakram Retriever. Hold on, I'm probably just. We actually don't have a lot of blue dogs. It's kind of funny. It's like basically just like these six. Yangling Mooning Dog. So I don't think we have we ever seen the plane that. Anyway, I don't know if you've ever seen the plane that Yangling's from. I'm not sure we've seen that in person. But when this creature enters, look at the top two cards of your library. Put one into your hand and the other into your graveyard. So it's pretty simple. It's basically just. Did I forget to? Oh fuck! I forgot to talk about the mechanics of that one card. Hold on, back up. This will take just like 2 seconds. I talk the mechanics about this. The cerebral download is pretty simple. It's just talking about like how this Ilvoy use like this collective repository of knowledge, and the more artifacts you have, the more ways you have to access that knowledge. So you surveil more, and then you just draw 3 cards because you're getting information. Because the library, your hand usually represents your mind. Like I think sometimes people can get a little too pigeonholed onto what like the hand and library and stuff represent. And the answer is like usually they represent like the library represents like what you actively know off the top of your head at the moment, and then your library is like your memory. It's like you trying to draw like think about something and draw upon it. But sometimes it can represent different things depending on like the flavor of the card. Like sometimes like your library represents, for example, like digging for like a lost treasure or like an artifact or something. Um, but I'm getting off the track. I'm getting off track because I end up talking about like magic flavor like a lot. 'Cause I think a lot of people just have like a very one track idea of like what magic flavor is. Like they look at a planeswalker, they see that it dies, but like in reality, when you actually think about the planeswalker as like loyalty counters, so the idea isn't that it's dying; it's just kind of leaving most of the time. Although it can die if you want that to be the the flavor. Once creature enters, look at the top. So the idea is that this code cracker hound basically is helping you like look filter through information. It is a even across the edge, a dog is still a dog. So I don't know how smart you're supposed to how smart you're supposed to assume this dog is. It kind of looks like it just tore into a fucking robot. Like I have a dog that sometimes he eats like a sock or some shit. So, but I think the idea is that like the flavor being that like this dog kind of helps you like loot like search through information. Like I don't know, maybe now you can see like this robot's like how it works or something. Oh, this one is really interesting because it reveals that the Godlight Voyagers are from the Edge. Oh yeah, I was thinking about them for a while. I was like, are they from the Edge? I didn't want to say anything because I wasn't sure, but that does make sense. Like, there's no way they're not from the Edge, right? Hold on, let's pull up the Godlight Voyager. Because like the only reason I hesitated because like this doesn't look really like any of the main factions, but it does look like within the Edge's like technological like range. Like they could have a robot like this. It would make sense. Oh shit! Wait, is that the? Oh, I just got that. Holy shit! It's the fucking robot. It's like the same kind of robot. Wait a minute. There's probably a better example somewhere. Of the. Um. Yeah. Okay. There it is. It's like Guidelight Synergist. Wait a minute. I didn't even I didn't even catch that. Yeah. So that makes sense. They're basically a type of vi, or I forget what the specific word for like a sentient AI on this plane is. Um. I guess that explains why they. I guess they also want to put robots so like you can play robots. But also like I also have to wonder like what exactly like, the line is between a robot and a construct. I guess a robot's just like it's like they sometimes use mana for fuel, but it's more like electricity and stuff. And then a construct is like magically animated as opposed to like moving like parts. But I'm not 100% sure there yet about how they're gonna define the difference between them. So there's a little favor. There's your Godlight Synergist because that's the same kind of it's like the exact same guy. I mean 2/1. It's a dog. It's a small dog. It's not gonna be powerful. Consult the star charts. This looks like a very serious guy. Um, consult the star charts. One generic, one blue. Instant kicker. I I do not remember playing a kicker card in this single card in that draft. I'm sure. Yeah, I assume sometimes Magic is like a little bit. Most of the time, they're pretty decent about the differences between the creature types. But sometimes you can tell they're clearly like they have to clearly fudge a little bit between. Especially since sometimes like what happens, they come up with creature types later, and it's like how do we now we gotta come up with a reason why this is different from that. But kicker, one generic, one blue. Look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of lands you control. Put one of those cards into your hand. If the spell is kicked, put two of those cards into your hand instead. The rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Also, Mark Rosar might have new articles on like his designing of the I'm probably not gonna read it today, but I think he probably has new articles in the designing of the Edge of Eternities. Update bulletin. Alchemy. History of tokens. State of design. State of design could be interesting to read sometime. Did he only? I'm not gonna read this today. I'm just tracking. I think we saw this, but anyway, the part of the reason I brought this up is because this card cares about lands, right? So it's pretty simple flavor. It's like it's consulting the star chart. So the more lands or planets you have as point of reference, the more the better of an idea of it gives you where you are, which means you can get more information about what's happening. And the idea is the reason I brought this up is because Mark Rosar mentioned that they were coming up with like one of the concepts was like different land types like asteroid, black hole, moon, planet, star, and star doesn't actually appear in the set, but it may appear in future sets. So it's kind of smartly designed the fact that it could work. Like if they ever come back and go like we should put like an asteroid or black hole or moon as a land type of land card. They what is warp in the story? Do people teleport something? So sci-fi is a common trope where it's like faster than light travel. So what warp is this thing called weft travel, but it can also be warp travel. And for most people, how it works is basically it's like a ship's like faster than light hard drive, right? Is that certain vehicles or vessels can go faster than light. So what warp represents on those cards in that case would be the creature is on something that can travel that's like weft capable. Or there are certain creatures like specifically cats or drix from the edge. Cats and Drix are capable of weft walking naturally without any aid of a ship. So if you look at, for example, all the Drix, every single Drix in the set can warp, and that's why, because they can do it without a machine. That's like their ability. Normal people cannot just like raw dog weft walk. They need like a specific kind of ship and you need a specific kind of engine to do that. And I think a lot of angels also have warp. And I think the idea is that I think Silas brought up that they're made of light, and we know that they can think much faster because of that. They can think at light speed, so it might also be that angels can just move at like light speed, which is like akin to like maybe short distance warping. Like if you're in system, you could probably move from like planet to planet in like a couple minutes. Like if you're moving faster than light, like realistically, because it takes like how long to because it takes like what 8 minutes? Yeah, 8 minutes and 20 seconds. So you can imagine that if you're an angel made of light and you're traveling from planet to planet, like if we're assuming you're like if we assume sun like from the sun to our Earth and you're like an Esteli in universe, that would be like about a 10-minute travel. But for most people, that'd be way longer. So I think that's the idea there. So basically, what warp usually represents is it represents like web travel. It's like their equivalent of light speed. Um, um, I can probably read it. It depends on how long it is. I don't want to go back and read every single thing on the Planeswalkers guide, but and warp travels. Their warp travels like a reference to a lot of things. They reference like Star Wars, obviously Warhammer. Just there's a lot. Dune. I think Dune maybe has it, but you need your faster than light. How does faster than light travel work? Faster than light travel requires three components: a vessel with an Eternity drive, proximity to an Eternity column so the column can transmit sufficient power to the ship and diffuse whatever feedback might spike as a result and propel them into the weft, a Pinnacle codebook to correctly align one starting point and the finishing point. With these three conditions met, a ship has the technical ability to travel faster than light. Among Pinnacle associates, faster light travel is colloquially called the warp or weft travel. When a vessel travels in this method, it plunges into a parallel lamellae behind the Chaos Wall, the Eternities or weft. The latter is a term borrowed from Drix culture, and then reemerges at its destination point. So that's what it represents usually. Which is also, I guess, why you end up having cards like Consult the Star Charts, because if you're warp traveling around, it's handy to have. So the idea is that basically you can consult the stars or the planets and stars to figure out what stuff is, and then you can search for information. You can find information using that their locations and stuff. And I just think it's interesting that like it's set up in a way that like if they ever add like for example the asteroid idea or the moon or the planet or whatever. I mean they added the planets, but you mean if they ever added like the star, moon, black hole, asteroid thing, it would work in combination with those pretty well. Cryogen Relic. This is a very weird card because it looks like it might be monoist. I'm not sure. Cryogen Relic. 1 generic, 1 blue. Artifact. When this creature enters or leaves the battlefield, draw a card. 1 generic, 1 blue. Sacrifice this artifact. Put a stun counter on up to 1 target creature. If yeah. So older than the Eumedian sea ship that populated Evendo. So I said it looked kind of like monoisty, but like it seems like it was here before the Eumedians. And Eumedians got here like pretty way before the monoist, I think. At least it sounds like. So it could still be monoist. It could be an monoist artifact, but it also could be something else. Especially since we know that what's the people there's the it's Binding of the Old Gods. It depicts, I forget what they're called. What are the species called that we had? Because there's like like a common sci-fi trope is like having like a really old species like that was like really old, but it's like they're no longer around, but they're really powerful. They were really powerful. It's like your forerunners in Halo or whatever. Um, and they have one of those on. We see one of them in the side stories. Side stories. Uh, oh, here we go. The Var. The Var, it is an old myth, and it is the myth of the Var. The Var who ran from the Eldrazi, the Var who fled from the virtual world, the Hilder High. A virtual world so disconnected from this one that only a few spots of it remain in reality. So, nodes, solid physical spaces connected to the vastness of the Var's ancient knowledge, a billion times rarer than Moxite. So it's possible this could also be like a weird Var artifact. I'm not sure. I feel like it'd be doing weirder shit though if it was Var artifact, but maybe not. It's a cryogen relic, so it just kind of freezes like whatever. Like you can sacrifice it to either freeze something. I guess is the idea, like to put it in like stasis for a little bit. When this artifact enters or leaves battlefield draw, I think the card draw isn't really like. I mean, maybe you could argue it's giving you some sort of knowledge if it's like ancient and older than the Var. If it's ancient or older than the Eomids, then maybe the idea is that like you can like study it and get information when it enters or leaves, but it could also just be mechanics. Like sometimes you just need your card draw, man. Like I don't know. As far as art, I mean, they made a lot of blue ice, blue and white ice. They want you to let units blue. Even this is glowing kind of like a purplish blue. It's more towards blue, I think, but it's like just kind of dark blue and black, and there's ice all over it. And blue's commonly associated with ice because the idea is that where like fire and heat tend to represent like emotion and passion, like my blood is boiling. Um, that like for red, like heat is usually and fire is usually like emotion and passion. Like ice is usually like calm and like collected, and like the idea that blue like strives to be more rational, put itself above emotions. I try not to use that. I probably shouldn't say that because like I try not to use like the words like logical and rational in like with blue because a lot of people describe it like that. And that is blue's goal, but at the same time, like every color thinks they're being rational, philosophically speaking. So it's like I think that can be like a bad way to explain it because like I don't think blue is necessarily more rational than all the other colors. It just has like a different way of approaching stuff. Um, so I try to explain that usually when I'm talking about blue, but basically the idea of like being like collected and like not like where red wants to lean into emotion and thus has a connection to heat. Blue wants like kind of not necessarily like always stifle emotion, but like put your thought like your mind first. Do what's like what you think, what your head knows is correct using like the data or whatever. Um, Oh, Crash. This is a very interesting card. So hold on. Just like Cryo Shatter, blue, enchantment aura, enchant creature. Enchant creature gets -5, -0. When enchanted creature becomes tapped or is dealt damage, destroy it. So when I first saw this card, I thought this card was kind of like insane because if you don't know, the color has changed over time. So there are like some older blue cards that destroy stuff. But usually when blue gives you destroy stuff, it gives you something in return. Like it's like the idea of transforming it. But like here, there's like a potential for you to destroy something in blue, which has always been kind of insane to me. But we'll talk about a little bit more about it because I don't think it's necessarily a color pipe break because you can do certain things. So what a color pipe break is it's undermining the weakness of a color, right? So there are certain things that you can sometimes get into a color that like a color shouldn't normally have mechanically, but it's not a color pipe break because it doesn't undermine the weakness. So in this case, um, the idea is I guess like if you're playing mono blue doesn't have like a way to deal like direct damage most of the time, right? And then like if it's and then tapping is up like basically up to the player, but like blue can tap it. I don't know. I have to think about this. It's kind of an insane card that blue has the ability to destroy creatures like this. Ilvoy and Masters of the Deep Freeze, though conditions must be perfect to avoid going to pieces. So blue has always been like able to decrease power, like the idea that it can like sort of stall, basically, like it decreases your power, so like you can't hit as hard, it can stall, look for answers. This is very interesting, like enchantment because like the flavor is obviously that you can become frozen, like if you get hurt or fall over or whatever, you just shatter. But like blue doesn't usually get to destroy creatures by because blue cannot deal direct damage, right? So like obviously if you want to destroy creatures with that, like that wouldn't do anything, but it can tap stuff like all the time. So it's kind of insane for me to blue to have the ability to like freeze something and then tap it and just kill it. But it's I don't know, it's just wild to me because I'm just so used to blue like not being good at destroying things like really at all for the most part. Like yeah, sometimes you have your Pongify or whatever, but like those give you something in return, and those are like aren't common in modern Magic. So the art is very interesting because it's more abstract and simplified. Like this background is just like a clear like white with, and then you have like and then as he comes to the foreground you have like the blue, which you now so when you see this guy like freezing in the ice, it suddenly makes you like okay, so the blue is ice. So all this, the idea here is like this is ice, like coming like frosted ice. Um, and then you have like this black, like I don't really know what this is. I don't know if this is like the idea. This is like a cloud sculpt or something. It's kind of hard to tell. And here we have this Ilvoy, but it's like definitely more stylized. But it definitely has like the big like Ilvoy head and tentacles and stuff. And the tentacles look like they're wrapped around each other too. Um, I do appreciate these are cool colors here because like the white almost looks like it almost looks like a sheet of ice. Like you could interpret it as just like a sheet of ice behind this person, and then like the blue like the ice too, like more ice. So very cool colors produce like a very cold like atmosphere. I'm not really sure that this could be Cav. I'm not 100% sure. I wouldn't be surprised if this is Cav. But it could also be something else. It's kind of hard to tell. The proportion's a little wonky for a Cav, but at the same time, could be Cav. I would assume Cav. And the Cav is interesting, or whatever this is, the Cav I assume, because it has like the crest. The Cav is interesting because like it's technically like a warmer color than what's going on around it. It's like this kind of like brown, but it's still like it's not like red or anything. It's not like orange, but it's technically still like a warmer color than like what's happening around it. But it's clearly still getting like almost like overwhelmed by like the cold or whatever. I don't know. Crash Shadow just like mechanically just insane card. It feels kind of like I'd have to like think about it because it feels like kind of like a color pie break. Like so sometimes you can do stuff like where a color can have a mechanic. Like sometimes you can give like for example you can give blue haste in a way that isn't a color pie break. Like hold on, we're just gonna you like Errant Street Artist like haste would normally be a color pie break, but this has like defender. So the idea is that like it can't attack. Like if this could haste in and just swing for free, then that'd probably be more of a color pie break. But this is more like a color pie bend. Like okay, we'll give you because blue has flash, so it can come in instantly, and then haste so it can react, and then but it can't attack normally. And the idea is that you want to copy it. The idea is you want to flash it in and copy it, or copy something. So, but this doesn't really feel like the same thing. Kind of feels like because blue, if this enchantment, the only way to like destroy stuff was stuff that blue couldn't do, like if it was only deal damage, like okay, blue can't deal non-combat damage, it has to swing basically. I'd be like, okay, that makes more sense. But the fact that like it can be destroyed by tapping is kind of crazy to me because blue taps all the time. Here's another. Obviously this is by the same artist. This is no way it's not by the same artist, right? No, a different artist. That's crazy. The style looks reminds me of each other. But anyway. So once again, we have the little robot. So once again, the Ilvoy don't express themselves like humans or most other species. Like they don't like emote like the same way. They don't like make facial expressions the same way. So they use little robots to get around that to communicate with others. So you can usually tell like how the Ilvoy in the art's supposed to be feeling by looking at these robots. And this one's very happy to be freezing what I assume is a monoist guy trying to take a swing at him. Desculpting Blast. One generic, one blue. Instant. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. If it was attacking, create a 1/1 Scarlet drone artifact creature token with flying. And this token can only block creatures with flying. Your items will serve my ambitions in a much more useful form. Jesus Christ. Wait. I mean, I would say the flavor is like obviously like maybe like this person being like deconstructed, but like they're not dying, right? It's returning them to their hands. It seems a little bit weird to flavor wise, but what is more blue and complicated to replicate a simple effect? See why? I mean, true to the point. It's like just copy. Why have haste when you can copy big green red creature with haste by casting a 5-mana spell to have it on the battlefield under your control? Why kill when I can return to the library and then mill your deck or some shit? But so this. So the other art looked like the white represented ice, but here it looks like it represents more like the cloud sculpt and like clouds being given solid form of some sort. Like we do seem like this kind of like web effect. I think sometimes when they like fly around. It's like a really good one. It's like but there was like a really good one of like a guy flying with yeah, here like Ilvoid Galeblade. Like you can see here the clouds have like the same kind of like net look or similar esque. So you could interpret this as also being like a similar sort of like net kind of thing, like cloud net thing. Um so the flavor kind of makes it imply this person's like Adam's being turned into a drone, but I'm not 100% sure because the Ilvoid, like I said, usually just come with drones. They make their own drones. The idea might just be that it's the Ilvoid drone basically like flying in. It's kind of hard to say, but I think it's just the Ilvoid just having a drone. The idea is that you're using an Ilvoid technique and you get like a little Ilvoid drone. Um, it can only block creatures with flying. It's like this is something Blue Suns gets is like kind of like a drawback. People call it high flying. I'm not sure if that's like always the flavor per se that's flying so high. It can only block things with flying. It could just be like a mechanic drawback thing. But I know black doesn't get sometimes has like can't block certain things. So the idea is that represents like selfishness and like black not willing to put itself like in danger sometimes for you. So you have to like figure out a way around that. And for red, it usually represents like emotion. Like I'm like if like oh I'm so scared I don't want to attack and I'm not gonna do that. So like here with blue, it could represent something similar to black, like maybe just like a level of selfishness, or maybe like I'm only programmed to block certain things or whatever. But maybe just reading. I'm probably just reading too into it. Interesting bit of contrast here, where it's like the robot simplified, because usually the face has like a sort of like digital like kind of like web frame pattern over the compute like the computer screen that forms a face. But here it's simplified. It's like a white and a blue, so you can clearly see what's happening. And you have like a dark blue, like really dark blue or dark gray here to bring like a contrast against like the rest of the background. Also, so you can clearly see this thing's body. And here we have the Ilvoid tentacles, um, which is like purple, blue, etc., white. So here, even though you can clearly see this guy's face, I assume it's a monoist. Even though you can clearly see this person's face, the person actually casting the spell, who you think would be the most important, you can't see their face. You only see like the reaction to the robot. So I think it's like one of the tricks that Magic does. Sometimes when they want you to know it's like this, what the action of the spell is more important than like the actual like person who's doing it. It's like what they're trying to display is like this that the person casting doesn't matter. This could be you casting, it could be your opponent casting. What actually matters is like the action itself and what's happening, and this person being sent away. Um, so yeah, that's all I got on that one. We have divert. I should probably start reading out the artist names. That'd probably be smart. I'm reading so much art. Um, divert disaster. One generic, one blue. Instant. Counter target spell unless its controller pays two generic. If they do, create a lander token. Ilvoy hope for the best outcome, but engineer for the worst. David Alvarez. So the flavor here thing is pretty interesting. So I talked like at length about like how the Kavu philosophy is pretty interesting about how they do like how they view disaster. But here, generally blue is like the idea that you can like control the world around you and control the world yourself and control yourself with enough knowledge. It's like blue's gonna be all about like, oh, there might be a way to divert this disaster if we like have the right amount of information and technology and stuff. So here we see probably like blue like when you look at the trolley problem, like for example, like I said, white's usually gonna lean toward like save as many people as possible. Blue is usually gonna try to lean towards save as many possible, but every once in a while you'll probably get like a blue character that's probably like, or we could try to like figure out a way to hijack the trolley and stop it from moving at all. Because blue's like the idea is like anything's possible, right? If we have the information and knowledge. Obviously, this card's very blue because they put blue everywhere. Like this plant's bright blue in contrast to like the dark blue of the background. And here we have some sort of ship or rock that's like black, and then the ice is like clearly mostly blue. And then here we have once again more cloud sculpted nets. So that's what's diverting the disaster in this piece is the idea that the Ilvoy using like these cloud nets or whatever to stop these projectiles from. I assume is what's happening. It's how I'm reading the art. Is that they're using like these nets to stop the projectiles from colliding with whatever it is they're going to hit with the planet below. So the idea is that it either works and you prevent whatever's happening from happening before it hits, or if you do, I guess now you have a land to draw upon. I don't know. If the opponent manages to power through it, you get a land because I'm not 100% sure. Maybe you learn something. Or maybe the idea is like you protect your land. I don't know. But Ilvoy hope for the worst and bet for the best outcomes, engineer for the worst. Or maybe the idea is that maybe these are lander tokens, and that these are the landers, and that's what you get. Very interesting, like contrast with like the fire, like as an interest atmosphere, like you get the fire and the heat, like coming off of it, which is very striking against the blue and the white. Here we have Emissary Escort. Very interesting robot. Emissary Escort, one generic, one blue. I'm about to die because I need to cough. Artifact creature, robot soldier. This creature gets +X, +0. X is the greatest mana value among other artifacts you control. Emissary mechans are often assigned their own security detail, given their importance in interpinnacle dialogues. So this seems like a pinnacle robot, and it has the little pinnacle symbol, which I think we have seen like Planeswalkers Guide. Whoops. So here we have, here's a really good view of the symbol, where it's like these like three, like I think this might be a ship or a tower or something. I'm not 100% sure. But we have like these three like these three like shapes. So you can see this on the robot, so it's pinnacle aligned. The pinnacle also uses like a lot of silver and blue coloration, notice. And once again, Magic's not subtle. They put a lot of blue fucking everywhere. They have nice red for conscience, like glowing red, but it's mostly blue. And the idea is that it wants to protect artifacts, obviously. So the more important your artifact, the more the robot will fight for you and better protect your shit. If someone tries to swing into you, or if you want it to swing towards other things. There's also somebody back here. I don't know. Is that like a Drix or something? It's kind of hard to tell. Because I know the Pinnacle work with the Drix, so maybe the Pinnacle are. I think the Pinnacle are helping like contain some of the artifacts the Drix like bring back. Like, hey, can you keep this under wraps for me? As like a part of agreement. Because basically the Drix, like I said earlier, the Drix are the only ones who can whiff walk naturally. So they basically went to the Pinnacle and like, so the reason the Pinnacle is where they are, basically they were like, we will teach you web travel, but you have to basically make a deal with us. And they made some sort of deal. The details are kind of unclear, but we can assume, since the Drix are out there hunting Eldrazi and like old like mind-blowing technology, that the Pinnacle are helping them find it and maybe even contain it, because the Pinnacle have like a lot of resources at their command. There's also like a red light coming off from something, like whatever this robot might be guarding is like hitting here, which is pretty interesting. I do love like the eyes, like design, like this is like meant to be seen like every direction, like 360-degree vision, as opposed to just like in one direction, like a single eye or something. So that's pretty nice detail. Also interesting shield, because it's not hooked to anything. It's like a sci-fi shield, but it's like a ring. It's like got like a solid ring, but like it seems like if you deactivate it, like there'd still be a ring like there. So, but also 0/4. Like the idea is that it's super defensive. Basically, you don't want to attack with it, but you can start attacking with it if it has something it wants to protect. Giga Storm Titan. So, whoops. This is not the only elemental we see. We see an elemental. We see a red one on Caveron. So I think plants just sometimes have elementals on them, which makes sense. I mean, if you're gonna have plants in your set, it's kind of cute to have like elementals that like embody the planet or like are born from the planet. If you're gonna have like a science fantasy Magic the Gathering set. Giga Storm Titan, 4 generic, 1 blue. Feature elemental. The spell costs 3 less to cast if you cast into the spell this turn. The shadow of the God Core falls over the Uthros, and the world erupts with storms. Do we know what the God Core? I mean, I think we saw it in one of the stories, but do we know exactly what the God Core is? Precisely what it is. Anyway, it's kind of weird. This has like a face. I don't know if it's like a coincidence, but this looks almost like eyes and like maybe the ridge of a nose. But anyway, so it's very interesting because this thing looks like it has cloud sculpt like armor on it. Like this was like given armor by the Ilvoy. So at first you kind of read it as like maybe this menacing creature that maybe could be at odds with the Ilvoy, but it kind of seems like it's working with the Ilvoy, and it even has like an Ilvoy shape. Like it has like the big head, all the tentacles, blah 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 blah, and like a face in there, and cloud sculpt like shoulder pads. So it kind of looks like it's working with the Ilvoy, probably to protect the God Core, maybe. But the flavor text also sounds very ominous, like you don't want this thing showing up. Which maybe you don't if you're not with the Ilvoy, and especially since we know that the Uthros is like very secular and closed off, especially the deeper you go. Like you don't know a lot about what's happening there. So blue card, like a lot of blue, but a very interesting choice. This thing is like very like red and purple. Like yeah, these are blue and white and blue and everywhere blue, but in the eyes are blue. There's a lot of blue, but it's like red, like red. Like if you told me like this card was like, oh, this is like a red blue Izzet card, like I wouldn't be surprised. But very interesting choice that it's like blue. There is a lot of purple though, to be fair. Once again, we have the blue connection to air, although weirdly not flying. But I mean, I guess just because it's made of gas doesn't mean it can. We don't even know if it's completely made of gas. Actually, it could be particles and stuff. But blue connection to air, so we see like a lot of cloud sculpting, and a very interesting effect where like the light is so bright behind it. It's like this thing is almost like coming down at you, like it's like this light coming. So this like as you get farther away, it gets dimmer, but then you get closer, it's like very bright, and it makes it almost potentially more menacing, but also probably just highlights like lets you know what it is. Like you can clearly see its silhouette. And you could also read it as maybe being so big it's like blocking out the sun, but I'm not 100% sure because could be just weird Uthros shit. So it'll avoid Gale Blade. So I assume the idea here is that yeah, they can cloud sculpt blades is why they go the Gale Blade. They'll avoid Gale Blade, 1 blue, generic, creature jellyfish warrior, flash flying, 2 generic, sacrifice this creature, draw a card. Uthros guards have such rapid reflexes that it has led to rumors of experimental precognition. 1/1. So also Nathaniel Hemolon. So this makes it sound like it's rumors, so we don't know if they actually have like precognition. That's kind of like left open for you to decide, or if they ever want to come back to this in the future. But once again, tons of blue. They fucking love their blue. Put blue everywhere. And they have cloud sculpted armor here, and this looks like some sort of net, but could also be like a moving blade. I could see this being like a burst of like blades basically coming at you. And here we have like the cute little robots they use to emote, and this one looks very pissed. So if you ever want to have the Illvoid feeling, look for the robot. And here we have like this. So this is clearly a cloud sculptor, and notice how like the clouds kind of wrap around this person, like they're almost like bending the clouds around them, and the clouds are whirling around them. So again, that's also interesting. It's like almost like the clouds are like they're either moving with such force or they have such magic like prowess over cloud sculpting they can make these clouds move around them. And here we see a building that's kind of purple, but mostly blue, mostly purple. Here we have like interesting that we have like a light coming from here, just like I guess to help highlight the figure a little bit in some areas, especially like the blade here. So it also looks menacing. And we have the tentacles reaching for you, which is interesting. And it looks like this thing has like legs. They look very muscular legs. But flash, because the idea is that it's like a honed warrior, so you can just like fly in before you're ready. Flying, it's literally flying. I think the idea is that some Illvoid use technology to fly, but some can use cloud sculpting to kind of make wind for themselves. And then two generic, so you can sacrifice. I guess the idea is that it's just a warrior that's willing to die. Like it's supposed to guard. Like they refer to it as an Uthros guard. So I guess the idea here is that it's just so willing to die for the cause. Like you can sack it for information. I think people have this idea that blue like sometimes I'll see someone like people think like black is the only creature that can sacrifice stuff to draw cards, and they like isn't it like add a color pie for blue to like sack to draw cards? But you have to remember about like color pie breaks is that like the whole point is to undermine a weakness. So like blue can already draw cards, so it having the sack to draw cards is like nothing. it's if anything, it's more of a hurdle to jump through than just drawing cards normally. But and also the idea is that like blue philosophically is sometimes when they make certain sacrifices for like knowledge or to understand what's happening. Like blue's not like because blue isn't white. I think people have this idea where they sometimes put blue too close to white in their head, where it's like doesn't it just seem like immoral to like sacrifice stuff? And blue's like, well, you know, sometimes a blue character might do something they view it as for the greater good or like the greater outcome, right? Because blue's all about like knowledge and like the idea that you should put your emotions aside. So sometimes you gotta make emotional sacrifices, like sacrifice a creature for like the greater good benefit of society. I guess what I'm trying to say is that white tends to care more about how things are done, and it's not that blue doesn't care how things are done. But you gotta remember that blue's also odds with black, and black is like the ends justify the means basically. Black is like whatever gets the job done, that's what matters. So blue's a bit closer to black in some respects, in that like blue may be a little bit more flexible in what it's willing to try to get the job done than white. And that sometimes that can mean sacrificing creatures. And that's also why you have like blue line like factions like on Innistrad that like make zombies and stitch things together. It's like if this is efficient, if this is the most efficient method, if this gets the job done and creates a better net outcome, then I will do it. The difference is that blue might not go as far as black, because black is like I'll do whatever it takes, and blue's like well maybe not whatever it takes, but I'm a bit more flexible if I feel like it's. Man, that's a really big head. This might be a mask. Illvoid Infiltrator. It's really funny. This Infiltrator has a fucking. They want to let you know they're fucking pissed. Like there's no reason for a fucking spy to have a fucking like emoticon fucking droid around them so they can fucking tell you how they feel. They're just doing that that's just a flex at that point. Illvoid Infiltrator, 2 generic blue, creature jellyfish rogue. So jellyfish is Illvoid rogue because spy / assassin. This creature only can't be blocked if you cast 2 or more spells this turn. Also, I forgot to say, I mean, I think some of the casting 2 or more spells is simply just like one blue caring about instant sorceries, because the idea that like blue just cares about like knowledge in general. So like the idea is that like blue has a better understanding of magic generally within Magic the Gathering, because it's like all about researching magic and understanding magic. So that's why blue tends to care about like spells in general, and also the idea that like you yourself can cast a spell and like draw upon knowledge and stuff. But also like it might also just be mechanics because they needed there. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Cloud kill agents slip in and out like a breeze. So a little bit of a pun here because they make like clouds, and I think it seems like they can make wind. So here we have Ilvoy Infiltrator. So once again, I don't know why I had the emoticon robot, but it's interesting that the design seems way smaller than some of the other designs. Like the other ones are like clearly like more like spheres. It's like kind of like just like a mask, I think. Like if we go, where's Memnon when you need him, bro? Like even if you look at just Ilvoy Galeblade, um, look how kind of like this is clearly like it's not like I wouldn't describe it as bulky, but it's definitely bulkier than the other one. Like this one's like a flat mask of some sort. This one's like a flat mask of some sort, and this one's like an orb, like a watermelon, like floating next to you. I mean, blue and black are ally colors, while white and black are enemy colors. Yeah, see, I think some people kind of yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at is that like they don't agree on everything. It's like, you know, sometimes I think people read blue as too close to black or white in a way. Like the reading is just like, oh, it's just like white light or black light, but like blue's its own thing. It has its own reasons for being black and white, and it has its own reasons for being like allies of both of them. Like I don't know. I'll talk about blue at length some other times. I have written stuff about blue that are probably more research and not like off the cuff. But like, but blue's a very interesting color, and the color probably relates to the most. But or at least I would agree to with philosophically. So Ilvoy Infiltrate, I think this is like a mask because yes, they have big heads, but they usually have like a face somewhere. But it's like a mask, I think, of some sort, maybe. And then the body looks like it could be a bunch of tentacles wrapped around itself. I'm not 100% sure, but they have the cloud sculpted armor once again. They have like a little face, and this face looks like serious or determined, maybe even angry. And it's very interesting that like this side, because this looks like maybe probably on it's either on Caveron or like a Caveronian ship or something. So it's very interesting that this is like more cool colors. Like this is like purple and blue, like over here, but this is almost like a different world. Like this is something that you see a lot when they want to show characters like sneaking it, like in art in general, is they'll basically like have this metaphorical divide being represented by like a physical object. Like for example, this is the wall, and this guy doesn't see this guy because this guy is like basically metaphorically separated by this line. But even then, this person's still encroaching in this space because the light's shining on them, and this is like kind of like poking out. And this person's like more warmer colors in contrast to like cooler colors, like a lot of orange, more of a yellowy green, and then we have orange or like warmer colors here. And obviously the flavor is that if it sneaks past and deals damage to opponent, you basically get information and draw a card. And this creature casting 2 or more spells, just blue caring about spells, and the idea that like magic and information, like understanding magic better, being able to cast spells better. Ilvoy Light Jammer. This is pretty interesting. Once again, they're trying to bring attention to like either the action or the artifact itself because you can't really see the face here, or it's kind of hard to tell. I don't know if we're supposed to be looking at this like this is the face, but it kind of looks like this thing might be like looking up somewhere and we can't see the face. And like the arms are obviously wrapping around here. Ilvoy Light Jammer, 1 generic, 1 blue. Artifact equipment. Flash. When this equipment enters, attach it to a target creature you control. A creature gains hexproof until end of turn. It can't be the target of spells or I probably could hold on. I keep jumping everywhere. I think I literally just have like I'm not gonna read the entire thing but I think instead of just trying to explain the colors off the top of my head, I did actually write an entire thing on blue, but there's a shorter version. We can. I'm not sure if I actually want to. I don't know how this is gonna look because when I originally wrote this, I was writing in a different format on Google, so it might not translate well. But so here's the gist of all 5 colors, right? So the idea, blue believes in seeking perfection through knowledge. An important clarification is that blue philosophy doesn't believe you can literally be perfect, but rather that we should be constantly trying to improve and be the best us we can be. Perfection here is a process, not necessarily an end goal. Thus, in a way, it can be described as attempting to achieve perfection, since what it's trying to do is trying to get as close as possible to it. Blue argues that the best way for us to be the best we can be is through knowledge, information, education, etc. At the end of the day, knowledge is power, and the key to being able to do something is to simply know how it works and how to do it. Blue believes everyone is a blank slate, and that with proper knowledge, basically anything is possible. Now, blue isn't a philosophy that's dumb enough to argue that if you're born without wings or with bad vision, you can just gain flight in 2020 vision with sheer willpower. Rather, if you learn how flight or vision works, you could do things like build a jetpack or create a set of glasses that could compensate or negate certain issues, or even allow you to do new things you never thought possible. In blue's eyes, you can only have in Blue's eyes, you only have one life, so it makes sense that you shouldn't waste it by or ruin it by making short-sighted or emotional mistakes. Thus, you should be careful. You should consider your actions and plan for the future. One of Blue's greatest strengths is probably the most obvious: knowledge. Due to the fact that its philosophy prizes knowledge and thinking, it tends to be very good at utilizing the information at its disposal, and is less likely to make silly or short-sighted mistakes because it likes to keep the bigger picture and future in mind. So even though a Blue character is capable of making mistakes, they'll at the very least decrease the chances of making a careless or not thought out action. However, one of Blue's major weaknesses is that it can end up being too passive and slow at times. It often sits around thinking when tasked with making a choice. It will try to figure out the best option. While this is often all well and good, sometimes this can lead to Blue getting frozen with all the choices it has. This is in the sense that sometimes they take too long to make decisions or act, so they can end up not reacting to something fast enough, or in extreme cases, just not being able to make decisions at all. Sometimes the easiest way to get the upper hand on Blue is simply to act before it's time to think or formulate a plan. Some of the words that are associated with Blue are knowledge, deceit, cautious, deliberating, and perfecting. The words I pulled from like one of Mark Rosewater's own articles, but also I want to point out that so a couple reasons. So the idea that Blue's associated with ice might also come from the idea of like trying to move slowly, like where fire might spread fast or represent energy, like ice also represents like slow, so you can slow down your opponent so you have more time to think. But also like even though Blue prizes knowledge, it's important to point out that being Blue doesn't make you smart. I think a lot of people just like, oh, this creature is blue because it's smart, or I'm blue because I'm smart. And it's like, blue isn't smart. The idea is that blue isn't smart in the same way that black isn't powerful. Like, it values intelligence, don't get me wrong. And in that sense, you might argue maybe it's more likely to be smart in certain ways. But just because you value something doesn't mean you have it. Like, black values power, but doesn't mean all black characters are uber powerful. So, anyway, here we have the artifact. Very interesting, like, effect. It's like this looks cloud sculpted once again because it like has a cloud wisp coming off of it and they forming like this kind of net and stuff. This equipment and so flash. So that is like you can either make it suddenly or it comes in suddenly. When this equipment enters, attach it to the target creature you control. That creature gains hexproof until end of turn. Equipped creature gets +1/+2. Equip 3 generic. David Alvarez. So at first I thought like Illboy Light Jammer. I thought like it maybe jams some sort of frequency, but it seems like okay, maybe it does jam some sort of frequency is the idea because it grants you hexproof, but it could also be that it's hard light. So like you cast it, it forms over like a creature, it creates a hard light shield, and then that blocks the next like spell that comes in. So it can't be targeted. So it forms like basically a shield. And here obviously blue, they love their fucking blue. It's blue everywhere. And then here we have like a little bit of like interestingly like it's kind of like red and purple, especially like near like where the hands kind of meet, almost like to help like help them stand out a bit more. And then like this bright blue and white light, and then the background's pretty simple. The background is like just like blurry like fog or something. I couldn't even tell you what it is. Maybe space. I don't know. There's like some stars here. It's kind of hard to say. But oh, here's a really useful article of how it. I probably did. It's probably in one of my. It's probably in one of my. Unless it's like super recent, because I know they just dropped like a new blue article like last month. If it came out before last month, it's probably referenced in one of my articles because these are like. This one alone is like. Give it a second. It's loading a lot. This one's like 118 pages. I think I have sources. I have all these sources. So I've done white and blue. I have not done black, red, and green yet. So if it's a black, red, and green article, maybe I haven't gone to it. But if it's black, but if it's white and blue, I've probably gotten to it already. Mayhaps. And I even like listened to like Milk Rose's like drive to work. It's probably the reason it's taking so long because I'm also working on other stuff at the same time. Super. Oh, okay, yeah. I think I know the one you're talking about. I haven't gotten to that one yet, but I probably will read it on stream at some point because I heard it raises some good points. So I can probably actually find it. It's probably not the most effective way, but we're just gonna. Article Archive. Oh. Oh yeah, these ones. Yeah, I gotta get around to reading these. I'll put them on my to-do list. Bad gateway. Yeah, I just haven't gotten to it. Okay, hold on. Bad gateway's fucking killing me, bro. Yeah, so we'll get to this some other time. I'll probably read it. I pretty much basically have to read it because I will eventually have to write about black, and I want to try to understand all the colors as well as possible. Um, we'll get to. I'm not gonna distract it. It's very tempting to read it right now, but I don't want to get distracted. We'll get to it when we get to it. Ilvoy Operative. Creature Jellyfish Rogue. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, create a +1/+1 counter. Put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. So once again, we have that connection between blue and matte, like casting spells, and the idea also that like if the more spells you cast, the more information you probably you can gain. Um, I did. Oh, I forgot lags, but yeah, it's just weird because the blue article worked when I right clicked and opened it separately, but when I just clicked it, it didn't. I don't know what's wrong with the white article, but Avoid operative, one generic, one blue. Creature Jellyfish Rogue. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. The Uthros Combine's first question for any scientific breakthrough is always, how can this be used to keep our next breakthrough secret? Definitely getting some like almost like Demir vibes here with like the Demir Guild, like keeping shit secret. So part of the thing you see with blue is the idea that because knowledge is so important, because knowledge can let you do so much stuff, is that how the colors often deal with like threats is with like their own philosophy in mind. So if you're blue and you think knowledge is power, knowledge is the most important thing, how do you stop your opponents from getting the other hand? And that's the answer is to deprive them of their knowledge, right? Um, but there, yeah, I'll put it on my to-do list. I had to think about because I hope the next set doesn't come out too soon, so I have time. But I might just have to like just figure out a schedule at a certain point. There might just be a point where I just have to sit down and come up with a schedule. But uh so because like so for example like white cares a lot about like working together and stuff. It's like one of the ways white um might try to attack you is basically like using morals or maybe like trying to isolate you because white itself relies on a ton on like working together and like the greater good, right? So blue is like I think knowledge is power. I think knowledge can let you do anything. So the way to stop my opponents by basically messing with their knowledge so they cannot gather the knowledge. um Once again, this art is just like a lot of blue, like a lot of blue water. This person's like standing in the water. I'm not even 100% sure it's water. It could be like clouds. It could be both. And they have like this cloud sculpt like spike, but then it almost looks like ice, but it looks like it's cloud sculpted spike. Um, and like a bit of armor. They really love the shoulder pads. They don't really like making like all the armor like anywhere else, mostly. But I assume part of it's probably because they maybe probably rely on being more nimble than they do on just tanking a bunch of blows. 2/1. It gets more powerful every time you cast magic. Blah blah blah. Lost in Space. This is a very abstract art. 3 generic, 1 blue. Instant. Target artifact or creature's owner puts it on top of their for choice on puts target artifact or creature's owner puts it on top on their choice puts it on their choice. Is that word weirdly to anyone else? Or is that just me? Target artifact or creature's owner puts it on their art of choice of the top or bottom of their library. Surveil 1. Every so often the edge reminds you that there's always more to discover. Um, so here is a very interesting blue card because blue bounces stuff. But I guess the idea here is like, especially with the flavor text, it's like obviously you get lost in space and then you're searching for them so you can surveil. So someone gets lost in space, you search for them, you're probably not going to find them. I mean, so you can bounce your own stuff and then you can search for it by using surveil, or you can bounce your opponent's stuff, and then in which case you search for like I guess where they went in your own library, but you'll never find them. Here we have like again a lot of blue water, but there's a very interesting like bit of red here, like red and purple for contrast. Like I think their ship crashed. This was like kind of like smoke, like fire smoke, like it's way darker than some of the other clouds. And then here we have like this planet. It's very abstract. Here we have the Ilvoy with this. I assume it's a very sad looking, very sad looking robot. It was a very mostly pink Ilvoy, and I like how they like have 4 legs and stuff. It's pretty neat. I think this is their ship here. It's kind of hard to tell, but I think the smoke's coming off their ship over there. I don't really have a ton to say about that. It's very interesting how they stand out against because they're against like the really dark smoke. Like they're set up against like they could have been put anywhere, but they're put against like this really dark purple smoke where they stand out as like really bright pink and blue, especially with their robots. You can clearly see them. But they're so small. It's hard to see their face, so it kind of feels like they're like who they are isn't as important as like where they are or the fact that they got lost in space somewhere. Um, Mechan Assembler. 4 generic, 1 blue. Artifact creature, robot artificer. Whenever another artifact you control enters, create a 2/2 generic, a 2/2 colorless robot artifact creature token. This ability triggers only once each turn. Every iteration brings it closer to understanding its own creation. Mirko Feloni. So this seems like one of the it's not an Illboy. It's one of the AI or robots, but it's one of the sentient ones. It seems. Here it has like several. I assume it's using these to emote itself because it doesn't have a face, so it might just use these like the Illboy dude to emote. They seem really excited for whatever's happening, and there's even like a little face here, and like it might be making more of these. Might be what's happening. It's kind of hard to tell, but it's clearly building something. Again, a lot of blue, but also like a lot of silver to let you know it's an artifact. I guess it's like a lot of silver metal, but like a lot of blue in the background, and there's like this light behind its head, which is obviously probably just to, like let it see what it's doing, or maybe even just a power source. But it also helps highlight like the face eye thing, so you can clearly see. So it helps draw your attention a little bit, but it's this bright light, and it's like head, and it's wearing some sort of like it's apron. It's actually kind of cute. It's like wearing this little apron. And it has like this interesting like like water drop like pattern, but it also looks like it's cloud sculpted too. So I don't know if that's a sign that Ruthos Combine or what. So the flavor here is obviously just like whenever you get another artifact or create another artifact or whatever, it uses that to it can better understand how it works, and it can make more robots using that information. Oh yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, because there's maybe it may. Okay, so I should have time as long as I don't botch it. Which never say never. Mecha Navigator. One generic, one blue. Artifact creature, robot pilot. Whenever this creature becomes the tap, draw a card, then discard a card. Avoid temper the curiosity with caution, deploying mech and pilots before they risk mortal scientists. So the flavor here is like it might not immediately click. It's like why would a pilot care about tapping? But the idea is here is that when you crew a vehicle or you station a creature, like station a ship, you have to tap the creature as like a cost. So that's what that is. It's like the idea is that it wants to reward you for tapping this to like crew and station stuff, and then when you do that, it gains through information. It gives you information to sort through. So like you send in the pilot first, and then it pilots a ship, and then it's sorting through information, which kind of represents the flavor. Like go down, get information, sort through what's useful, see what it is before we come and risk mortal scientists. This like has some like a similar design to like the little emoticon robots. Obviously not the same shape, but like has like the kind of like web like grid pattern over its face. Um, Obviously a lot of cool colors, a lot of like blue and purple here, and then it's just kind of like there's like not like too much going on in the background to be honest. It's kind of just like there's a little bit of light hitting here, so like it helps highlight the robot in the background, but it's kind of like mostly just like cloud sculpted stuff, like the ship coming down. I assume it's piloting a ship of some sort. So it looks like it's in the air. There's like wisp of cloud coming off of it. This is purple. This is blue. Not a whole lot, but it's like glowing. It's basically glowing, so let's draw focus to it. 2-1, not very big. Mech and Shield Mate. Mech and Shield Mate. One generic, one blue. Defender. As long as an artifact entered the battlefield under your control this turn, this creature can attack as though it didn't have Defender. Do not mistake a preference for peace. A preference for peace for an inability to fight. Yevin, Pinnacle Envoy. So this is a Pinnacle robot. So it looks like the Pinnacle do have like a lot of firepower, but it doesn't seem like it's all in system at the moment because in the story we see them it's like basically call for help. They don't know when help's gonna get there, but the idea is that like the Pinnacle they prefer peace, but obviously they're not all talk per se. It seems like they might have a lot of firepower. Interesting that this robot's like it's a blue card, but this robot's like very like white and black. It has the blue swords, and the blue shield, but you think the robot would be a bit more blue on a blue card, but some of the Pinnacle robots are like more silvery or white, so I guess it makes sense. And not everything can be so like black and white color coded. But there is like obviously blue going on in the background. All of the earth is clearly like more gray, and it's very interesting that this cloud is like kind of like in a way it's kind of like almost right behind the robot. Like you see the cloud kind of goes here and then around here, and it could be like going over the entire thing, or it could be like not covering the guy, but like it kind of almost goes like almost like perfectly like a circle or some sort of shape, like to let you know, like focus on this thing right here. It's blocking some sort of lightning bolt shot. As defender, sometimes blue gets that because like the idea that like it's more like a more defensive, like slower to add color, but also can attack if it doesn't have defend. Because if an artifact enters, then it has a reason to fight. I suppose is maybe the flavor. It's a 3/2. Daniel Lundgren. Mechanozoa. Mechanozoa. 4 generic, blue. Artifact creature, robot jellyfish. Whenever this creature enters, tap target artifact or creature an opponent controls and put a stun counter on it. Warp 2 generic, 1 blue. So I don't know if that is this is like a machine that's warp capable. Honestly, it doesn't look cloud sculpted. Because look at this. Like these look cloud sculpted. This looks like not cloud sculpted. This looks like some sort of like maybe like weird flexible metal. And these seem like Cavaronian ships. So it looks like this thing came out to attack those Cavaron ships. I guess maybe back here, maybe it looks more like standard cloud sculpting. Maybe it's a different type of cloud sculpting. I don't know. But usually cloud sculpting doesn't look like shiny. I think. Like to be honest, like if you look at like this cloud sculpting does not look shiny. So it's very weirdly shiny for a cloud sculpt, but it might just be like an experimental thing. Obviously, interesting. It's a robot jellyfish. So obviously robot. It's not. I don't think it's jellyfish because it's Ilvoy, but I think it's jellyfish because they just designed it to be like a robotic Ilvoy or robotic jellyfish of some sort. And once again, we have this effect like the clouds swirling around it, like to help draw your attention, but also maybe like represent as like a locus of power. It can control the clouds around it or make those clouds move in a way because it's just that powerful or that much of a has that much influence on the environment. Like it's just that big. I think the warp is. I think it's actually some sort of like machine. So I think that's why it can warp. Is it? It might literally just be able to teleport. And the stun counter is like we can clearly see it grabbing something. So I guess the idea is that it's grabbing it and that, like taps it and prevents it from moving. And creatures and artifacts because I guess it cares about physical things and also blue cares about artifacts. And the idea that the Ilvoy are very like technologically inclined and enchantments usually non-physical things and being able to tap lands would just be really annoying. So, as I imagine the reasoning. Mental modulation. Mental modulation. One generic, one blue. Instant. This spell costs one less to cast during your turn. Tap target artifacted creature. Draw a card. Ilvoy nervous systems are decentralized. Even as one part runs calculation, the other might contemplate the depths of Urthros. I think it's based on like actual jellyfish. Well, I'm not sure the jellyfish have like that much of a complex nervous system, but I think like certain like jellyfish and stuff do have like they don't have like a brain just sitting in there. It's like all spread out. So it's pretty interesting to represent that in the species itself, and also makes sense. So here we have the Ilvoy. Once again, ton of blue. We can see some stars in the background. So I think it's sitting in some sort of ship probably, but we have a ton of like blue and white, and we can see. I assume that's excitement. Maybe I'm not really 100% sure what the expression is on the little robot. And here we have like cloud sculpted like shoulder polishers because they love those, and like maybe some sort of cloud sculpted tablet of some sort with some like extra armor here. And then obviously like a lot of blue. Yep. So I'm seeing avoid like a lot of like red or purple highlights. So here we have that here. And obviously emphasize the brain because like okay, they don't have a decentralized nervous system, so obviously like this isn't necessarily the brain, but like the character language is like the character language I'm getting is like they want you to know that this is a blue creature that cares a lot about like information. So we as humans sometimes represent that as having like a big brain. So even though the Ilvoy wouldn't have that concept, like if you're an artist making like a species like this, you might give them like a big head just to like make that connection. So people make that connection in their heads. And this is also like as these cool like glowing like almost like circuitry going up it. It's made by Andre Ugrai. So this spell casting one less during your turn, I guess it's just like a trade off. It's like the idea that if you cast it during your turn, it's just easier to do. Yeah, and it's like a little bit of like, yeah, you can't cast it during your opponent's turn, but do you want to? Like, so the idea is like it's flexible. You could cast it during your opponent's turn, but it's trying to get you to cast it during your turn. And you can tap target artifact creatures. So I guess if you cast it during your turn to beat your opponent's stuff, I'd always usually beat your opponent's stuff to be honest, and then draw a card. So I guess that mental modulation is obviously the idea that you're drawing a card, but also maybe exerting some sort of like mental control over either an artifact or a creature, like with your mind, like making it stall, slowing it down, etc., etc. Blah 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 blah. And once again, here we clearly see the face of whatever person's here doing it. So like I don't know. I bring up like sometimes you can't see the face when they're doing spell cards, but sometimes it's like you could mistake this for a creature card. To be honest, if you show this, if you like removed like all like the text and show me and ask me, is this a creature or is this a spell? I'd be like, oh, this is a creature probably, but you know, it is what it is. I'm not saying it's like a bad thing. They don't like adhere the rules so closely that everything becomes samey. Menanon, the right hand. Menanon. I can never figure out how to say his name. The right hand. So I think he's the right hand of Tezzeret. Does Tezzeret even? Hold on. I just think it'd be funny if Tezzeret. I mean, I guess Tezzeret's missing his right hand. It's fucking. I don't know if that's a fucking pun. Like right hand obviously means like your second in command, obviously, but I think it's. I can't tell it's a pun because Tezzeret is missing his right hand because that's. I can't tell that's some sort of fucked up pun. So I think I already talked about this card a little bit, so I'll go a little bit quicker. So here we have like little emoticon bots. It's kind of hard to see what they're saying, like they're emoting. I don't know. It's kind of tell. I think some of them are happy, and so this one's like surprised and excited maybe. But he's sitting on some sort of chair. He's got like tentacles stretching everywhere. He's got like cloud sculpted like armor and clothing. He's even cloud sculpting, I think, as we're looking at him. And here we have this interesting effect where it's like as we get like over here, becomes things become less detailed. But if you go towards Menon, you can see like something in the background that's clearly glowing. I think he's on a ship because I think you can see the stars. I think the Void just designed the ship so they have a lot of windows or openings or something. So so here Menon's literally like just like them like in this weird kind of sort of spotlight from not just this but also like this in the background. Like there's like a splash of colors going straight down the middle. That kind of helps highlight Menon and let you like helps bring your attention to him. And then here we have like this just like literally just shining down on him. It's like a spotlight just coming on him, so you know this is the guy you're supposed to be paying attention to. And here's pretty simple. Oh yeah, so one thing I also talked about, I probably should pay more attention to this as I went through this, is how height is used as like a conveyance of power in certain like pieces of art. Not like literal height per se. It's not like, oh, you're a short person, so like you're not very powerful, but like putting the person in a position like for example like a floating chair in which they're towering over you and looking down at you to put them as like in a position of power. So the idea here is that like Menon is the one in power here because if you look at the angle of this floor is like we're looking up at this podium and then Menon's like looking kind of down at us. So the idea is that Menon either puts himself on a podium or we're like not in a position of power. Or Menon himself is in a position of power. Sometimes it's like less that like the idea is that less we're powerless, more that Menon's just like powerful. Legendary creature, jellyfish advisor. Which I guess makes sense because he's Tezzeret's advisor of sorts. Although the story's actually really funny because like he he gets on Sammy's ship and then starts talking shit, and then Sammy's like, Ilvoy don't just like naturally like learn human communication, so he had to go so men had to go out of his way to learn like human communication just to shit talk. Like that's just a whole new level of hater energy. Flying. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast artifact spells on the top of your library. Artifacts you control have tap add blue, where this mana only to cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand. So obviously flying because clouds and also sitting on a floating chair. And then the idea that like blue cares about information, so like you can see what's on top of your library, so you have more information to work with, and then you can also cast stuff using that information. And then you use artifacts that help you cast more stuff. Although it only works on stuff from your library as like limitation. I mean, Menon does, I guess, does read as blue in the story itself because he just does care about a lot about knowledge and trying to understand what's happening. He seems like very surprised that Tezzeret didn't want to keep the stone because he wanted to understand it. Moonlit meditation. So this is like a Drix. Yeah, that's a Drix right there. If you don't know what a Drix looks like, here's the Drix again. Here's one of the Drix. So here we have a Drix meditating. Very nice to include a moonlit meditation in this set with all the celestial bodies. So once again, they want to let you know it's fucking blue. They put blue everywhere, and you know this person's the main character because literally, like these are literally basically like arrows heading towards the person, so you know like they're all converging here. And even like there's like ripples coming out from this person. But here, very interesting because you see like multiple moons. I think these might be. I mean, I think they're all full moon. I thought this like might be a half moon or something, but I think they're all full moons, just being like disturbed by the ripples. And a very interesting effect where so the very interesting. This is like incredible. I just realized this. There's like a mirror effect, right? So here you see the sky, like here, right, like these blue waves, and then down here it's like they're influencing the moon. So there's like some like weird kind of like meta like reflection of like what's happening up here, but like. So this is like, oh, it's just pretty colors, but then you look in the water and you see like there's more happening. Like it's moving, like these like it's interacting with this moon in like maybe a weird way. Obviously a lot of blue, dark blue, blue. The character stands out because they're green. They're like dark green, but even then they have like blue in their eyes, etc. I think the Drix have a lot of glowing like eyes and like head mark like thing in general, but sometimes it represents like it's meant to represent like sort of like it's sometimes it's supposed to read like as ominous, but I think in this case the idea is like it's supposed to emphasize like, oh, I'm like it's emphasizing like the mind and sight. Like my eyes are seeing things that they can't normally see, so they're glowing. My mind is somewhere that like it knows something that would normally not just know. So like that's also glowing, like little thing on their head. And it's very interesting how like the water almost blends into the sky. Like you could easily be mistaken in exactly where the water in the sky ends here. I think it's a very nice effect. Where like it's like this interesting mirroring effect, and then like where the difference in reality is like blurred. And that's one thing you see blue like care a lot about is like the idea of messing with reality. It's like blue cares about a lot about knowledge. It's like I can also fuck with knowledge, so that's why blue has like a lot of illusions, for example. It's like it's like I can make something so real you can't tell if it's fake or not, because I'm messing with your head. So here we have like almost like a similar concept here, where it's like where does the sky end, where's the water begin, or like or is like are they the same thing? Is one the reflection of each other, etc., etc. Moonlight meditation, 2 generic, 1 blue. Enchantment aura, enchant artifact or creature you control. The first time you create one or more tokens each turn, you may create uh instead create that many tokens that are copies of enchanted permanent. So one thing blue can also do is it can also copy creatures, and it's like the idea of you can understand things so well that you can make copies of it. Um, all is the hand that weaves the fabric of being. The fabric of being is all. Trix Codex, line 1. Hard. But anyway, so I guess the idea is that here the reflection represents represents like almost like a physical like thing that can emerge, right? It's like the idea that this like the reflections are becoming real. And using this meditation. That's pretty cool. Mouth of the Storm. Is it like a pun? Or I heard of so it's like because there's like an Eye of a Storm. I'm not sure if Mouth of a Storm is a thing, but it could be a pun because of Eye of the Storm, Mouth of the Storm. Yeah, I think it's a. I mean, it's Mouth of a River, but I think it's a pun. I think it's a pun on Eye of a Storm. Mouth of the Storm. 6 generic, 1 blue. Creature elemental, flying. Ward 2. When this creature enters, creatures your opponent control get -3 and -0 until the end of the next turn. 6/6. Once again, we have an elemental. I think it's probably someone Uthros because I think Uthros is just full of weird like cloud shit. Here we have like once again we have like that whirling effect. Like so the whirling effect also probably is meant to represent like powerful like weather patterns like hurricanes and tornadoes, which like obviously whirl. But obviously I think it also gives a sense of power. Like this thing is like bending clouds around itself and pulling them towards it, and also it is literally made of clouds. And once again we have like a ton of blue. But this one's like a darker blue, like it's more of a storm cloud, more ominous. But also we see like it's like some lightning here. I already talked about lightning at length for blue, so I'm not gonna go into it again. But very interesting that its mouth here and eyes are like orange and red and fiery. Like it's not a red creature obviously, but the idea is that like whatever's in here is like super powerful, super bright, super hot. Probably just like raw lightning or something. And it looks like it's grabbing some sort of mono ship here. The monos are getting really wrecked in some of these fucking blue card arts, I will say. So it has flying because it's literally a cloud. Ward 2, I guess because it's like resistant to magic or hard to hit. And then -3, -0, like the idea that like the storm is like making it harder to fly through, making it harder to navigate. So I guess your opponent will have a harder time attacking you and blocking, etc. I do like how this, especially this year, looks like a hurricane. But anyway, like he's like little swirls. But I do like how this comes from the foreground, like this really dark cloud, and it gets like getting swept up into this thing. And these look like tentacles. It's like a combination of like whirling, but also like these could be like tentacles, etc., etc. But it was just uses like locus of power. And here we have like a mono ship getting shit on. Obviously, also obviously Mouth of the Storm, so its mouth is really big. It also has eyes, but like really big. Like mouth is like way like really big. Nanoform Sentinel. Oh, he's killing that. What the fuck, bro? Nanoform Sentinel, 2 generic, blue. Artifact creature robot. Whenever this creature becomes untap to another target permanent. This ability triggers only once each turn. Cloud sculpting naturally adds the Elvoid to other methods of reshaping matter. So, I mean, we could probably assume, but obviously the Elvoid clearly don't rely only on cloud sculpting. And this is clearly not cloud sculpting. Because cloud sculpting usually like either blue or white in color for one. Like if you look here, but there's probably a better example. Like if you look at this cloud sculpted ship, it's either blue or white in color, and obviously it's like not. It's not just like purely metallic. So here we have like the Elvoid. That might also explain like the squid we saw earlier. Like it might not just be made with cloud sculpting. So obviously here we have something that's like not cloud sculpted. It's fucking killing the poor thing. As there's some people in the back of Elvoid. I don't know if they're being attacked for what. The nanoform of Sentinel obviously makes it sound like it's made of nanobots, like a colony of nanobots, like coming together to form like shapes and shit. And you obviously still see like a little bit like the Elvoid technology here. Like the Elvoid like love the kind of like has like a little death expression. What the fuck would you program? But anyway, it's like this little grid pattern, and then this has like this little grid pattern under it, which might imply some sort of face or cloud sculpting under it. But it's clearly like mostly nanobots. Like these are forming different shapes, and this is like forming a leg here. I obviously like they want you to know like it's important. So like so once again we have like that playing with armor with like, height where we're looking up at the creature, so like it's in a position of power, and you can tell this thing's in less of a position of power because it's getting its shit rocked, but also it's on the ground while this thing's like above it and standing tall, and has like the spotlight coming down above, like shining on it, like gleaming, like showing like to help highlight it and show like how sleek it is and how powerful it is. Um, so obviously the flavor is whenever this creature becomes tapped, it can like mess with your other stuff and untap it. So, um, robot. Oh, I forgot to list the artist. Tianxing Zhu, I think. I hope I said that right. Wonder what else they made. Oh, they're kind of a recent artist they brought on. They've been doing a good job though. Quantum Riddler. Riddle me this, Batman. Quantum Riddler. 3 generic, 2 blue. Creature Sphinx. Flying. When this creature enters, draw a card. As long as you have 1 or fewer cards in your hand, if you draw 1 or more cards, you draw that many cards plus 1 instead. Warp, 1 generic, 1 blue. So I don't really know what this thing is. Sometimes we just see like random shit. I guess the Sphinx is in this universe. I mean, it's a big universe. It's infinite. So here we have like this, like these portals, I guess, and then it's like a Quantum Riddler. So I guess the idea is like it's Riddler, and it's like kind of like confounding, but also like it's like quantum weird quantum shit. So it's got portals leading everywhere. It's like this one's blue though, this one's white, this one's like purple, which is kind of funny because I guess you could read this as being blue mana and then white. It's ally white and it's ally black, but this is a very weird creature. I don't. We don't have any lore in any sphinxes yet, so I wish I could tell you. Is my thing going back into night shift? Don't go to night shift. Hold on. It was just turning back on because I think I hit my like bedtime limit. But anyway, it's a very weird creature. We don't know about. We haven't heard a bunch of sphinxes. Like just in general, like planeswalkers guys can't go to literally everything. So sometimes there are creature types that just aren't explored a lot. It looks like it's just hanging out in space, and it has like these like the back like the back its back kind is like backwards, but like this one's like frontward, and I mean they just have dragons flying through space. So this isn't even the weirdest thing out there. It's like worms and stuff. There's like this interesting thing. I can't tell if it's like a mask or just like a face with, like weird stuff coming up. And there's also just like a cloud effect. Like I guess if you want to like what's one of the cards that once again like I guess if you just cut the like if you only have the art you might not be able to immediately read it as blue, but it does have like the blue spotlight, but also like these different colored spotlights shining on it. So like but obviously it's being also highlighted too, and they have this like tiny shape to show how big it is, and like these whirling like clouds, which again show maybe power, but also maybe like weird quantum shit. Flying, I mean, it has wings and it's also in space. I don't know if it's like I don't know if it's just like just exists in space or if it's like the idea that it can like warp reality so it can like fly through space in that way. Unless it draws a card, so like Sphinxes make sense. It has information or something, or it's some sort of riddle. So you draw a card as long as you have 1 or fewer cards in your hand. If you draw 1 or more cards, you draw that many cards. So if you don't have any information, this thing can give you information, and you can gain extra information. And warp, because I don't really know why this thing has warp. It's a Quantum Riddler Sphinx. Like you look at this shit, like I would be surprised if this thing can like warp through or like into the weft or something. 4/6 with flying as wings. It's made by Izzy. Oh, Izzy's made some like classic art. I like fucking love this absorb art. And they advantageous proclamation. I remember when, I think I first like started joining Magic around like one of these sets because I remember Biomax was familiar when I first joined Magic. Started playing Magic. Anyway, Scour for scrap. 3 generic, 1 blue. Instant. Choose both. Choose 1 or both. Search your library for an artifact card. Reveal it. Put it into your hand. Then shuffle. Return to our artifact card from graveyard to your hand. The Ilvoy hunt for stellar fragments that predate even the Fomori. So that's pretty interesting because we know that the Drix also seem to be doing the same thing. So I wonder if they have a conflict over that. But obviously the idea here is that you're hunting for artifacts. So you either look for your library or your graveyard or both. And obviously the graveyard sometimes represents like things that are like old and like past. Like I guess the idea is that you can either search like your memory or the existing universe, or you can search like you can try to dig something up if you have it. I mean the art's pretty simple, a lot of blue. It's pretty interesting that this is like more blue here than like this is obviously purposely, but like the Ilvoy, they distinguish like the real Ilvoy from this one because this Ilvoy is clearly like more of like a pink and red, a lot of pink and red. It's clearly more blue because whatever's being reflected on is like a blue tint. It looks like he's like holograms, like they're interacting with holograms looking for something. That might be a Wanoa ship. I can't really tell though, but very interesting effect. And obviously, like the Elvoid don't really have like conventional faces all the time, but even here, it's like kind of hard to see the face. So obviously, I feel like the emphasis is once again more on the action or like whatever's happening with this weird hologram thing, and a lot of blue, or whatever. And the Fomori are like the Fomori that have been like around for a while, but just recently the Magic has been getting back into has been getting back, bringing them back into focus and explaining like what they are and like what they do. So then we know the Fomori have like this interplanar um empire at some point that seems to have at least been on Ixalan, Thunder Junction, the Edge, and probably some other planets I'm probably forgetting. Although I forgot what I was gonna say. But anyway, yeah, I don't remember what I was gonna say. But anyway, self-craft Mechan, 3 generic, 1 blue. Artifact creature, robot artificer. When this creature enters, you may sacrifice an artifact. When you do, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature and draw a card. Sometimes the best parts are already in use. So the idea is that it's self-craft Mechan, so so you can sacrifice artifacts, and the flavor is that you're adding artifacts onto this thing's body to make it bigger and more powerful. And also draw a card because you're getting information. Um, so this thing's head is obviously one of the like the Elvoy little emoticons. It looks very happy, and then also has like the kind of like the shoulder guard things. It looks like cloud sculpted, and it's very interesting that this thing looks very sleek, but it's obviously still like a hodgepodge of stuff. Like this leg does not look like this leg does not look like it matches with this leg. So it's still like interesting because like usually when you have like a Frankenstein sort of creation like this, it's very clunky. But this one's still like it's still like kind of mismatched, but still very sleek and like very smooth and like kind of like put together. Like it wasn't like just randomly shit like put together. Like it still had like a decision about what it was doing. Interesting, it has like these little crab claws because the Ilvoy are obviously jellyfish, so like a lot of the stuff seems to have like a sea, like a ocean creature theme. Obviously a lot of blue, like everything's fucking blue and like some purple here. I love how like this ground's like almost like uneven. Like it almost represents how this thing itself is in a way uneven. Like it's not uniform. Like it just grabs random shit to put together, so it's like uneven. You see like some jellyfish back there, so this might be underwater, or maybe just sky jellyfish. I don't know. You can't have sci-fi without a sea creature in the sky. Um, and obviously these are interesting forms of lighting, which, where it's kind of like bright pink in contrast to the blue. And it's very interesting because it also helps highlight the thing here because like it's very blue and so the background, but these highlight it so much like it creates like this pink like kind of like outline effect on either side of it, so you can more clearly see its body. It almost like brings, especially with how shiny its body is. Like its head isn't as shiny, but it's almost like it's trying to like bring attention to this body. Like look at the sheen of the body. Um, and this is by Milivoy Saran. Karan, Charan. I don't know how to pronounce the C with the accent mark, but Sinister Cryologist. Sinister Cryologist. 2 generic, 1 blue. Creature Jellyfish Wizard. When this creature enters, target creature and opponent controls get -3, -0 to the turn. Warp, 1 blue. So, you can tell it's sinister because it's evil fucking robot, like a little emoticon. It's hard to take it seriously when it's this cute, though. So this thing doesn't really have a face, or it's hard to tell. It's just Elvoy thing, I think. And it has like these little cloud sculpted like orbs, and it looks like it's like cloud sculpting something, and it's a cryo. So cryo means ice, so it's basically saying like ice studier, basically, and it might be related to like the other planets. There's like the Green Line planet. It's like mostly ice right now. It's just like like they're working on like unthawing it. So I wonder if it's connected, if this thing's connected to Evendo somehow, because we know Evendo has a lot of ice, but Uthros probably does too, given the environment. Um, so once again, we have that whirling effect, like almost like show power and like influence and the cloud sculpt effect. And this thing looks like very like decorated, like it has like this cloud sculpt like banners and stuff. And once again, we're having like a position of power, like we're looking up at it, like this thing is in a position of power, has great strength of some sort because we're looking up at it, and this thing is expressing, this thing is like seeds emotion, and these banners have this interesting like yellow highlights, like contrast like the a lot of, like a lot more cooler colors, like cool blues, and then this thing is pink, and it looks like it has an eye too. But it's warp. I guess the idea of the warp. I don't know. I don't know. It could be on a ship. I usually if I see warp like just it's not a Drix or like an angel or something, I assume it's just like the idea is that it's on a ship or has access to a ship with warp. And usually freezing in Magic Gathering is usually represented by with like a minus like a lower power effect. Partially because blue like just doesn't get a lot of like -1/-1 effect or whatever. But also like the idea like you're freezing it so that it's harder for them to move. They move slower. They can't hit as good, etc., etc. So like So like freezing in general is just like here deep freeze. This makes it 0-4. It's not. I mean, this freezes in place. Hold on. Not really proving my point. Will this freak out if I do this, or will it let me? Actually, that might not be what I wanted. Yeah, I guess it -3. Oh, whoops. I still need to figure out how to search power effectively. Hold on, maybe if I blue enchantment. Cold. It's not really proving my point. Maybe I'm just wrong. I don't know. I recall a lot of ice abilities. They do tap a lot, but they also sometimes lower power. Freeze. I mean, this is the best closest I have, where it makes your base power 0, so you can't attack. For crime, it's saying the ice isn't just academic exercise. So anyway, and it's clear that the thing is basically like a locus of power. Like everything's basically built to flow like around this guy. So specimen freighter. So basically, a freighter's like basically like it moves like cargo and stuff. Specimen freighter, 5 generic, 1 blue. Artifact spaceship. When this spaceship enters, return to all. Wait, hold on. Do all spacecrafts have that like effect where it's like they're like basically borderless? Huh. Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting. I didn't really think about that. Like if you look at all the spacecrafts, they kind of like go out of the frame. Like this idea that like this, I guess the idea like the spacecrafts, they give you like more access to like the edge, because the idea is like you fly around the edge, and usually you'd be stuck planet side, but with the spaceship you can basically like fly. You can like kind of like you can fly, you can get areas that you wouldn't normally get. So which was represented by like this the idea that there's more space. They're all like full arts, I guess. Um, Artifact spacecraft. When the spacecraft enters, return the 2 target non-land spacecraft creatures to their owner's hands. Flying. Whenever the spacecraft attacks, defending player mills 4 cards. So the flavor I think is pretty simple. Like if you target your own stuff with this, the idea is that you're basically putting them back, putting them in the ship, I guess, or like storing them somewhere. And I guess the idea is if you use it on your opponent's stuff, it's either moving it or just putting in some sort of storage that you're putting access later. Flying space. I mean, look at it. It's a spaceship. Whenever the spaceship attracts, defending player mills 4 cards. So I guess the idea is that it's like I'm not really sure what the mill represents. I guess the mill is like maybe just like taking information or getting rid of information like by taking stuff. So I'm not really sure. But here we go. Once again, we have the cloud sculpt and a lot of blues. Like we have a bit of like a little bit of purple here for like a bit of contrast. So you can clearly see the delineate between the planet and the sky. And here we have the ice. Like it's breaking through the ice to grab something. And I think these guys are maybe also caught in it. I'm not 100% sure if they're running the ship or they're getting caught in the ship. I think they're ill voiced. I think they're like going up to the ship and then pulling something out of the ice. Obviously this kind of draws your attention because like all this stuff is shattering, and then this is being pulled up towards this ship. And the ship has like it's very like it's a shine effect, so it's like so they can clearly see it. I might just start going faster again because once again it is, I don't know how long I've been streaming, but eventually Sergei Gleshikov. Star Breach Whale. So what is sci-fi without your space whales? Fantasy is when you have sky whales. Sci-fi is when you have space whales. Obviously. Star Breach Whale. 4 generic, 1 blue. Creature whale flying. When this creature enters surveil 2. Warp 1 generic, 1 blue. So I think this whale can maybe just be able to web travel. Is the idea, because we know. I think Drix, like the idea is that Drix are the only sentient species that can web travel, or at least the ones that we know off the top of our head. I'm not sure they've confirmed that the Drix are the only ones that can do that. It could be just the Drix are the first ones we know can do that, and then the Pinnacle met them first, so they're the most important at the moment. But we know cats can web walk, so I guess space whales can web walk too. We have very interesting like a bunch of blue like here, like it's almost like coming to like a cloud of like aether or something, or it could also just be like the idea that it's coming out of the weft walk. It's exiting the weft, and then here we have like this contrasting like more warmer space, like this you can interpret this almost like normal or real space, and then this like either weft or like aether cloud or something. And they want you to know it's blue because they put blue everywhere, and this thing's glowing blue. And look at its eyes, and like there's a nice shine on it, so you can like better see its silhouette. And it's just so big that you can like almost like cast a shadow. But anyway, so like yeah, so you have like a split between like warmer colors and then it's almost like almost in line with the whale too, where it's like the whale's body. You can kind of follow it. It's like this part's like kind of blue, like up here, and then anything like past the whale's kind of like mostly warmer colors, except for this, obviously. But also helps draw your attention because they all point to the whale. And Sam Burley. And when it's just Surveil 2, I mean, it's flying because it's a space whale, and Surveil 2, I don't really know. They need a mechanic. They need a cool mechanic to put on the whale. I guess the whale's looking for something. I don't know. Filter feeder, maybe. Starfield Vocalist. 3 generic, 1 blue. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Warp. 1 generic, 1 blue. So I think the warp here is because this is like a person with a pinnacle, and it seems like they're either on the pinnacle ship or the pinnacle station. So I guess the idea is that they have access to the pinnacle WEF travel. The pinnacle once again uses a lot of grays and blues, but this person's like mostly gray and silver. But they want you to know it's a blue card because they put blue literally everywhere, and this person over here looks blue, or at least maybe blue tinted by the light. And we are literally like looking down at them with like a spotlight. Like this is the main character. Like this is like their crescendo is like their most important bit. And like this light is shining down on them. This person over here is interesting because at first I wondered if they were like a different species, because we do know there are species besides the main ones mentioned in the Planeswalkers guide. Because like for example, there's like a lobster guy and that's not one of the species like listed. So we know there's, and there's also like a lizard somewhere. So we know it's not just like the Cav, the Eumedians, the Ilvoi, the humans, etc. But this could just be Eumedian, because we know Eumedians can look very different depending on like what brood they're from. So it could be that this is just Eumedian that's not of the not of the brood that's currently on Solthera. So especially since we know Mantis, we haven't seen Mantis, but we know based on her description that she's very different from like the normal well, I shouldn't say normal, but the Eumedians on the from the system. So access to Eumedians could look very different. So this could just be an Eumedian. I could see this being used as like an insect bug person. This trigger causes ability to trigger again, because I guess the idea is like they're synchronizing or repeating, I guess, like the action. So and especially since they have just 2 of them, so I guess it's like you play something and then this person like follows it up like a sing or something, or is capable of copying it somehow. 3/4 Nathaniel Himmelon. Actually, did I hold on? And we are looking down at this person. Doesn't feel like a person of. Doesn't feel like looking down like a. Because sometimes when you look down on a character, it's like they're in a position of helplessness, or the idea that like, they either gave up power either willingly or were forced out of a position of power. But here it looks like this, like, even though we're looking down, this person's kind of like at an angle, and this person looks like standing straight up, like they're clearly like feeling it. So I think it's more like we're almost looking down them like a spotlight, almost, or like an audience. What obviously it wouldn't be this close, but like the idea that we're looking like from like the top row or something. Starwinder, Leviathan. That was kind of like an eel, but Leviathan is not sure the line. It's kind of like an eel or a snake, but Leviathan. When a creature you control, 5 generic, 2 blue. Creature Leviathan. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you draw that many cards. Warp 2 generic, 2 blue. So this is one of those creatures that it's clearly coming out of like a hole of some sort. So I think it's basically confirmed that like some creatures can just left walk. The Drix aren't like the only, like, obviously there was the cats, but like Drix can, like, there are animals that can weft walk. So I think the idea is that the Star Walk, it might not be literally weft walking, but it might be like tunneling through the weft, or maybe just about as fast as the weft. Obviously when it deals damage to you, you gain knowledge is the idea, because blue loves knowledge. And it's sea creatures because of the connection in the water. So once again, we have a ton of blue. Like, this is clearly like iridescent, like it's white, it's multiple colors, it helps grab your attention. But everything else is kind of like dark blue and purple and black. So like this is mostly black. And once again, we have like the division between like all these clouds and this black space. So it's almost like this is like almost a metaphorical representation of like, it's almost like this is like a metaphorical representation of this world that this creature's coming out of, like the weft, or the world of creatures coming out of. And then this is like the like real space or empty space, like once it finishes coming out of this, like out of this portal or whatever. And it has essentially like, it looks like it's about to fire like a giga anime blast. And the creature itself is like mostly purple and like blue and glowing and very pretty. I also like how like it resembles stars almost, like these like little bits of resemble stars, and even this could like look like stuff like space bodies. So that's pretty interesting. Also has something coming off its chin too. But anyway, 7/7, very big Leviathan. Devin L. Kurtz. Steel Swarm Operator. Steel Swarm Operator. So once again, it seems like they may have some like nanotech because even though this looks cloud sculpted, but also it seems like a bunch of nanobots. So that's interesting. So one generic, one blue. Artifact creature, robot, soldier. Flying. Tap, add a blue. Spend this mana only to cast artifact. Tap to spend this mana only to cast activate a base of artifacts. It harnesses the energy from brutal mana rich storms found deep within Earth Rose. So I guess the idea is that's harnessing mana from like storms, and I can use that to help power artifacts or help power the abilities of artifacts. So in different ways. And here we have like it has cloud sculpted wings, and it's this looks like almost like a cav like weapon of some sort, like firing at it, and then it's a lot of blue everywhere. The robot itself does not look cloud sculpted, but the wings do, so that's interesting. And then it has like these blade arms because it's got to fuck you up, I guess. And once again, we have this like whirling effect like around like the creature, where it's almost like so it helps draw your attention to like the center of the image literally, but also like you can interpret it as like a locus of power, like it's cloud sculpting stuff around it, or it's has enough influence like sway that like stuff kind of like swirls around it. Interesting that these robots are like they're almost like little insects here, but the cloud sculpted wings are like white. So I don't know if the idea is that they're cloud sculpting these like on the fly, or they're forming into these. It kind of looks like they are cloud sculpting them. Synthesizer lab ship. Synthesizer lab ship. Blue. So once again, it seems kind of like all the ships are full art, which just represents like the more freedom like ships give you, like they can kind of fly around. Holy shit! I like how these all have different. Well, actually, they have the same expression. They're all just really fucking happy. Artifact spacecraft. At the beginning of combat on your station, at the beginning of combat on your turn, up to one other target artifact you control becomes an artifact creature with base power, toughness 2/2, and gains flanks on the turn. Flying vigilance. So the idea here is that the ship makes like all these little like emoticon robots, and you can turn your artifacts into one of these like little robots. And it has flying vigilance because it's a spaceship, and blue is vigilance. So I guess the idea is that it's always ready. Interestingly, like once again, we do get a lot of blue, but there's also like a lot of like pink. And honestly, I've noticed I've just been getting a lot of pink in general, but it gets a lot of pink for nice contrast. There's like this cloud sculpted like circle like around it. I don't really have a ton to say. Also, I kind of got to speed up because I don't want to take forever. But it's very interesting that we can't really see this very well, but this looks kind of like darker behind here. Like this is like the sky, and then you get down here, and it's like a lot darker. Like it's almost like this shining light of this beacon of this ship, and then down here it's like less important because it is cool ship, and also because we can't see it because there's a bunch of text in the way. So I don't have a ton to say about the ship. I mean, it's a ship. It's highlighted. It's shiny, so you can see it. Tractor beam. 2 generic, 2 blue. So once again, not really a main character here except for the ships. Like, and once you let you know that the ships or the action themselves is what's most important. Once again, we're seeing like a kind of Cav and Ilvoy conflict. I think this is mostly just the ship because the Ilvoy are blue and the Cav are red, and enemy colors can get along sometimes, but like it's helpful to show like their enemy colors. So enchantment aura, enchant creature or spacecraft. When this aura enters, tap enchanted permanent. You control enchanted permanent. Target enchanted permanent doesn't untap or during its control whose control is untapped step. So the idea is basically you activate your tractor beam, you touch to a ship, and then you pull it over to your side, but you can't necessarily. But once it's tapped, it can't do anything. It's just kind of stuck. So you have to forcefully untap it to get it to attack, or force it to attack other people. That's pretty interesting. So once again, Collapse called the ship blue, white. The tractor beam itself is like mostly white and blue, and then the Cavalron ship is like warmer colors. It also has like if you notice the Ilvoy, like Ilvoy have like are very smooth and like kind of like sculpted and like filigree, and then like the Cav ship are most usually like bulky, like hard edges and shapes. And it looks like it's trying to run away but got caught. Like these are like these thrusters, and it got caught. And then here we have like it's very interesting because you have like this purple like thing behind it, like this light that's highlighting it, and it kind of like sort of matches like the spread of this thing, so like the main focus. And the rest of the space is kind of like black because it's less important. It's like mostly black, and then you have purple. You have purple to emphasize this, and then like the blue tractor beam, etc., etc. And you can represent like sometimes you can see lighting as like a representation of certain things. Like so, if you think of this thing's signature color as blue, you can represent like all this blue lighting all over this normally like mostly red ship as being like it's exerting its influence over it. Like it's a sort of like aura or like power it's exerting over it, which is represented by like the blue light and energy. Beam attack. Beam attack. Oh, goodness. Unravel, very horrifying looking card. Imagine I had to have that one or horrifying card. Unravel, 1 generic, 2 blue. Counter target spell. If the amount of mana spent to cast that spell was less than its mana value, you draw a card. So this makes sense to the blue card because blue has like a lot of ways to decrease the cost of like certain spells, especially instant sorceries. So the idea is that like, oh, you cast Goblin Electromancer, which is a blue-red card that makes instant sorceries cost one less. So now you can cast now whenever you cast a spell. Actually, hold on, I misread that. Fuck, dude, I'm really fucking tired. Counter target spell. If the amount of mana spent to cast that spell is less than its mana value, you draw a card. Basically, if your opponent was trying to cheat out a spell, you draw a card because fuck your opponent. Drix Swift Walking requires neither Eternity columns nor Pinnacle Code books, but the art is ancient. Each passing is a leap of faith. So I guess the idea is that like here it's like blue potentially like disrupting like a Swift Walking ritual. Like it because Swift Walking is so precise. I guess the idea is that like, blue is like, oh, I can fuck with that and I can just unravel you to fucking eternity. Here we have interesting thing going where like this is clearly like a blue effect because you have like blue strands here, but this is like not blue. This is like a this person doesn't seem particularly color coded. They seem like if anything like maybe white, but like the point is like the act of like the unraveling is blue. Like it's like a trick you're pulling. And then here we have like a less physical dimension here, and this is clearly like a floor, and then like a Drix or whatever. So like, and once again, we're kind of looking down this person, and this person, unlike the other person, this person like, looks way less confident. So it looks like they're not in a position of power. It looks like they're in a position of like almost mercy, which they're probably fucked because it's not really a person that's like doing. It's like a phenomenon they're getting fucked by. So like, and it's very interesting here because this is like an outline of their face. Like, but it's outlined like the right half of their face. We can't see like the left half. Like the left half is unraveled, but the outline of the right face is like as it moves, it's like layers. I think. So they mean like peeled like an apple almost, and then you can see like this kind of like outlines kind of like their face, and it gets more and more like ambiguous and nondescript as they get unraveled further. Josh has Uthros Sionis. So Scio usually means it's something to do with the mind, so basically like psychic or something. Maybe some sort of psychic scientist. 2 generic, 1 blue. Creature jellyfish scientist. Yep. The second spell you cast each turn costs 2 less to cast. So once again, blue just caring about like casting spells and the idea that you can understand magic and thus reduce the cost, do stuff for it cheaper because it's more efficient. Login tree cycle 33,507. 10 units perception of psionic activity emanating from Earthros' core. Nature non-linguistic fragmentary content isolation apoplexy. It once free. Earthros combined research notes. So something's going on fucking Earthros core. I remember assuming it was Eldrazi stuff. I don't remember I think Taz might have said what it actually was. I don't remember exactly what it was. I assumed it was Eldrazi stuff. It might be something else. I think the idea is that this guy is studying it, not wanting to free it. Incapability of speechless caused by extreme anger. So obviously one of the ways that so if you ever have a character using like a psychic ability, sometimes they like show this by having like waves come from their mind, which just helps like literally points their head like this is what's brought their power. It's their big brain, and it's like these psychic waves, even though Ilvoy don't have brains in that way. But like it's like it's coming from their mind, and it's rippling outward. So like in the same way, like if you're in a pond and you just like splash the water, obviously ripple's gonna come out. So it's like the idea that this is like this force is causing that ripple effect. This force is causing some sort of motion that you either can or can't see to influence the world around it. And here we have like this really angry or like serious looking Meccan conveying emotion. It's really funny that they always carry these around them. Like I feel like sometimes you wouldn't need those, but to each other of their own. And this thing has like an eye. It doesn't really have much of a face, just because I think it's mostly an Ilvoid thing. It's mostly just like a hard to read eye and like a mouth, and it has like some cloud sculpted like cuff and sitting on some sort of chair. Although interestingly, unlike some of the other ones we've seen on other floating chairs like Menon, it isn't flying. It's just hovering, I guess. And these are like I think like tubes or vials or some sort, and that's a crack. So I think whatever's in it is trying to escape. And there's even like a face in here actually. Like this is a mouth. This is maybe like an eye, and like some sort of screaming face. But either way, the reason I brought them up is to kind of create like an interesting frame where it's kind of like the main focus is like this sliver of the art, right? And it creates and they have like a nice little like effect, like the shadow here and like a little like refractive effect. And I think the idea here is like this kind of creates like a frame so it helps focus you further into this guy, because there's not a lot holding going in the background. And considering how secretive Earthros is, it might be like also to represent the idea that it's hard for you to understand what's happening here in this scene too, because like this is like all murky and you can't see what's in the background. So whatever it is, they're keeping it under tight wraps. Like they don't want you to see it. Incognite. Sorry, sometimes look at Screaming Nemesis. That card is so good. That card art is so good. The fucking jello on the fucking engine. Uthro scan ship, which I've already talked about before. But basically, I probably should criticize about some of the other Uthros and Ilvoy ships, but very interesting how the ship looks like a water droplet. Like obviously it's like a cloud, like cloud sculpting here, but like this reads like as like a water droplet, like a dew droplet, like a big one, as for like the dome. Um, and obviously these like little purple scan things. So obviously a blue card because they put like bluish, blue green everywhere with some purple. Then this is mostly blue white. Once again, they want the main focus to be a ship because so there's not really a main character, it's just a ship floating. Um, and asteroids it's almost as if we're hiding amongst the asteroids as this thing scans around kind of a little bit because this asteroid's kind of like almost in front of us, etc., etc. Artifact spacecraft. When the spacecraft enters, draw 2 cards and discard a card. Station, flying. So the idea is obviously that once this thing is operational, it's literally flying. But also, it draws. So basically, scanning for so it's basically sifting through information. So you draw 2 because it's scanning. You're scanning looking for something in your deck. If you don't want, if something's like useless or not helpful information, you discard it, etc., etc. Once again, we have like the full art spaceships. All seem to be just full art by default. Weft Walking. Okay, last card for today. Weft Walking, 4 generic, 2 blue. Enchantment. When this enchantment enters, if you cast it, shuffle your hand and graveyard into your deck. Also, I was thinking about it because I was thinking about the new articles that Mark wrote on white and blue that I haven't read yet, but I might also be going to go back and read some like older articles just because I don't as far as I'm aware, there's not any audio versions of some of those older articles, which I think people would appreciate the accessibility. They just want to like listen to like what Mark Rosewater says about the color pie. Because he does have his drive. He does have his drive to work and stuff. I'm not sure if he's ever just like read out like any of the articles he's wrote. Because usually he's in his car and his drive to work. That's what's called drive to work. So it's like I doubt you can read stuff while he's just doing it off the cuff. But Weft Walking, 4 generic, 2 blue. Enchantment. Once enchantment enters, if you cast it, shuffle your hand and your graveyard into your library, then draw 7 cards. The first spell each player casts during each of the turns may be cast without paying their mana cost. So that's pretty interesting. You think Weft Walk would pair with Warp a little bit? I guess the idea is that maybe you could warp something and then later you could cast it for free for 0 mana and then you could warp something again because the warpage cost is usually cheaper, right? Or maybe you just warp. Or maybe the idea is you just warp something for free. I don't know, and then you just cast it. But 4 generic, 2 blue. So very interesting art. A lot of blue green, obviously, and then very interesting how this person's like cut. Like they're cut between worlds with the pain. Their expression is not one of pain. It's one of like focus. Like they're like clearly dissipating into like one word from the other. It's a little bit ambiguous as to whether they're going from this one down to this one or from this one up to this one. But I guess it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. It's the point that they're moving from like worlds. Like each of these represent like a simplified like world of some sort. And I like how these all like collide at the point of like entrance or exit for each side of the body. And here we have like these stylized planets, and then we have like these sort of white waves. So, and all these waves obviously point to like this as like the focal point. As far as flavor, I'm not really sure other than the fact that like Weft Walking, like I guess the idea is that like let's just kind of like warp spells in for free, kind of like it just suddenly they appear. And also it cares about information. So if you cast this and it's kind of funny because if you already have a Weft Walk in the field, then, well, I guess you could cast it for free. So I guess you could pair it. You could Weft Walk, and then you could cast another Weft Walk, and then shuffle your hand. But I guess usually the idea behind blue here is that it's either remembering stuff, like usually when stuff goes to your graveyard, like you forgot about it, it's lost, or you used it already. But blue's like, hey, I can like relearn it or remember it. And the idea that you draw 7 cards, so you fill up your brain with like as much knowledge as you can. Because if you go over 7, unless you have a certain card effect, you will have to discard down. And I think that is it for today. I'll play 1 round of MTG, but then I think I'll stop. So that's it for lore today. I'll probably just keep going. I'm gonna go like 1 color at a time. So where I'm gonna go is I'm probably gonna go white, blue, black, red, green, multicolor, colorless, and then lands. But then I gotta think about how long this will take because like I also have to think about like the commander sets and also the alternate cards. Like, do I want to do the alternate cards? I don't know. We're probably gonna have to see how it goes. To be honest, if it goes somewhere, it does. If I don't think it's worth it, I'll just stop. But I also do want to stream more games and stuff at a certain point. So I just got Peak recently, but I don't think I have anyone to play with, so I probably bought it too preemptively. Probably should have waited on that one. red or black spells, red or white spells. I think we play we'll just play Arachnus Burn, I think. Either that or Boros, but I still I don't know. My Boros deck feels awkward. I still gotta figure out what's the optimal play. I might just need to accept that maybe play slower than I wanted to play because the original version was like super fast and like could win on like turn 3 if everything went well. But like I may just have to accept that the version I made based off that might just be play way slower. And cool, they got the robot guy. Play first. Yeah, we'll keep. No reason not to, because we can just Rakuous Theater, Rakus, Rakos, Rakuous, Rakus, Rauschus, Rakus. I'll look out and pronounce it later. Okay, I'll start with Rakuous Theater, Surveil 1. We don't need that because we already have like 3 lands in our hand. We're good for like the next 3 turns, so we'll put that to our library. So we had 2 options. Okay, I think we played Monastery Swift Spear and we just killed. So we had 2 options here. We could have just bumped the Knights like up the stage, but I think we just want to burst light. I think we want to play Monastery Swift Spear, kill that so we get the prowess, because that's gonna be really annoying. It's gonna gain them life and energy, and we just swing. And that way, next turn we either swing and then activate light up the stage, but if they have a blocker, we bump in the Knight and then light up the stage. So we kind of win either way. Yeah. Okay. So this is easy for us. I think maybe we bump in the Knight first, because then we activate prowess, and then we can use light up the stage to search for like more damage. Because ideally we could find something really good to do some damage here. Okay, well, that's okay, I guess. Dragon's Rage Channeler. That's the only thing we can cast, and we swing with the 3/4. And then next turn we can just cast Dreadhorde Arcanist or something. We'll figure it out. Kind of depends on what they do. What you thinking about, bud? Oh, hopefully they're not AFK, because that would... We'll play 2 Dreadhorde Arcanists, because ideally we can swing next turn and then activate 2. We only have burst. Well, we activate both. Ideally we activate both and we just do a ton of damage. Okay, they're not AFK. I'll check the newer. I'll get the new Premier cards later. I think because it's kind of late for me. I think I'm just gonna do this game and then hop off. I'll probably do it next time. I mean, how many? There can't be too many, right? I don't know. I'll get to them eventually. I think about how I want to do them. I think I won't do them. I think I'll do them to some other, like tomorrow or maybe or something. Because we did have the Legends of article for the arena only cards. Okay, I think we just want to go all. I think we kind of just want to go all into like creature destruction, because they seem like they want to play a bunch of creatures onto the battlefield. This might not be this might not be the best idea. Vacuous Theater. I think we just want to kill that thing first, to be honest. What is this? Whenever it enters? Okay. We see what they cast first, then we just kill it. Has ward, but I mean, we could wait and then. Okay, I think this thing is more annoying because I think Amalia has to build up a little bit. So, and now we can just kill it. I assume. I presume. So whenever you gain life. I think we want to try to aim for land here. Or maybe taking a bit of risk here, because I think we might just want to insta-kill Amalia, but I think we can react to what if they try to gain life, and then we can just kill it. Alright. This takes me back, I remember everyone was running this shit. Like Amalia Dina. Okay. Blackleaf Cliff. We might just be able to kill. It's not effective at all, but we might just want to just kill Dina. So we stall for time because I think the second they stall, like they don't have gas, we just go in and just kick their face in, right? That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, like right now. So like now we can Corey Steelcutter, Dreadhorde Arcanist, create a creature, haste, swing in. And then next turn we try to swing out Dreadhorde Arcanist. Maybe I should have switched your teaching into Dreadhorde Arcanist, but then I wouldn't be able to cast Corey Steelcutter. And I just felt kind of like a waste of mana. Oh fuck! That's rates in the past. Oh my god! I regret not playing Roiling Vortex when I should have. Play this. Yeah, so we'll play Monastery Swiftspear. There's friendly creature on board. It gains prowess and haste, which means it does double prowess, which is kind of annoying. We'll play Rolling Vortex. Do I pay 2 life for the Blood Clip? Because I could pay 2 life. Activate the Rolling Vortex. Prevent them from getting life next turn if they try to pull some shit. Maybe. I mean, okay. This might be a bad idea, but I think maybe we swing, because what do we got here? Okay, we got Play with Fire. So we can kill. I think we prioritize Guide of Souls. If they want to sacrifice that, we can't really do anything about that. But oh fuck, it hurts me. Oh my god, I think I just trolled. You want to block though, right? Make it up to me. They could just not block and potentially kill us next turn. I might have trolled. Okay, odd choice, but I mean, probably the most reasonable choice to be honest. But I consider it odd because that is let me win. So we'll just leave it at that. Okay, if they can't get enough to kill me, might be able to win next turn. Yeah, so we don't want to get life off that. So we're gonna try to put X artifact or creature cards onto the battlefield. Oh, thank God, I activated that shit, bro. Yeah, no, you're not getting shit, bro. The only problem is I need enough to kill them here. That's not bad, actually. That's not bad at all. So I think we want to try to. How do we want to do this? How much do you cost? 1 for threshold. So if I do this, fuck. Swing. Maybe they try to kill. I think we lost. I think I beefed it. I think the only way I win that is if I don't hit myself for 5 with the rolling vortex because I forgot that it cares about that. I think we have to leave rolling vortex in though because I think they just run too much life gain to not. Actually, we win, no? Because rolling vortex goes off. Yeah, baby, never punished. Anyway, I'll try to make time for the alchemy cards at some point. We'll see. That's enough arena for today because I just wanted to get a couple of my dailies. B. Actually, I did draft off screen. I actually did better when I was drafting off screen than I was while streaming. I actually made it a pretty good amount of wins. That's how I got like 2,000 gems. But of course, the one time I don't stream it, I do well as usual. It's like the equivalent of like, trust me, guys, I have a girlfriend. She just doesn't go to the school. Trust me, guys. Oh shit, draft token. We can draft now. It's kind of trolling to do this, but actually, how much? 6,750. If we play enough games, could we just buy that today? What time is it? 48. How much time do we have on the clock? Store. We have 10 hours. Might be able to. No, hold on. That's like 500. That takes us 6,000. So logically, what I should be doing is I should just be grinding coins to buy these, because then you want to send the gems in the battle pass for the free battle pass. I think I'm just gonna buy this now. I'm not gonna do the math on it. We'll do it later. I'm doing this for fun. I think. And then let's see. I'm just trying to see if we can check out some of the. I'm not gonna do anything with them yet, but I want to. I want to see. This is just the. Hold on. What about the. Oh, community of attorneys. Okay. I mean, is this. Wait, is this all there is? If there was just 6, maybe I should just looked over them. Well, not owned. Not owned. Okay. That makes more sense. There's not a lot. I probably could have done them, but whatever. I'll do them tomorrow. I just guess it's almost like 12 for me. And honestly, anyway. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Thank you for watching, even if it was only for like a small amount of time. Sorry for not streaming super often, but it is what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, I can only apologize so much because this ain't my job and I don't get money for it. If I got money for it, it would be a different story. I'd probably be trying to like force one every day, um, but, whoops, I think that was the wrong one. But I'll stop for now. I'll see you guys later.